Welcome, everyone. Good evening to the Manatee County School Board meeting for September 24th, 2024. I want to officially call us into order. Tonight, we're going to start off with the reading of the district's vision by Ms. Spray, and then we'll have the color guard and invocation as well. So, Ms. Spray, take it away.
The school district of Manatee County will be an exemplary, student-focused school system that develops lifelong learners to be globally competitive. And I'd like to welcome up Dr. Luke Stockland from First Baptist Church of Bradenton, who I met right when he moved down to Florida from, I believe, Michigan. So welcome. Oh, Missouri, sorry, thank you.
Thanks. You guys will stand, the invocation, and the color guard will be coming in just after that.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we acknowledge your presence with us in this room this evening, and we thank you for your presence. You never promised that this life would be free of difficulty or free of disagreement, but you did promise your presence to never leave us nor forsake us. And so we honor you and we acknowledge your presence tonight. I thank you for the important work and the important decisions that are made in this room by this board, and I pray that you would guide in the decisions that are made. We're reminded in your holy word in the book of wisdom in Proverbs, it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So God, I pray that we honor you as we seek to make sure that the next generation, the students are being trained and prepared to be adults that contribute to our community, to our county, and to the world, making it a better place. And so, God, we thank you again for your wisdom and your guidance, and we acknowledge you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
All right, we can welcome in the Palmetto High School color guard.
Mark. Colors, hope. Breathe in. Colors.
Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, colors. Center, face. Forward, march. Down.
Thank you. You may be seated. The Palmetto color guard was Cadet Sergeant Major Sanchez, Cadet Captain Lemus, Cadet Captain Hernandez, Cadet First Lieutenant Campbell. They're accompanied by Sergeant First Class Baez. Thank you all very much, Palmetto color guard. Appreciate it. All right, let's move on to item number 6 on our agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. The chair has found good cause to amend the agenda to include all items listed under the agenda amendments on August 27th, 2024, updated August 23rd, and posted to the district website, manateeschools.net.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor
A second.
in a second. And I need to log into Granicus.
I was going to say, talk slowly.
And so we have a motion and a second. I don't see it on here ready to vote yet.
There it is.
There it is. All right, let's go ahead and approve, and it is approved 5-0. Moving on to approval of the minutes. Item number 7, Superintendent Weissong.
Thank you, Chairman, and good evening, board members. I recommend approval of the minutes of the August 27th, 2024 school board meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any corrections on the minutes, board? Don't see anybody lit up to correct anything. So let's go ahead and vote on the approval of the minutes recommended by the superintendent. And that passes 5-0. All right, item number 8 on the agenda. Mr. Barber, coming up for some of our student celebrations and recognitions.
Thank you, Mr. Board Chair, board members, and Dr. Weissong. I don't know how your day's been. Ours has been a little bit hectic. So it's good to be here this evening where we get to recognize some of our students and also some other things that we have to celebrate. So I guess the best thing I can say about this first recognition is the students you're about to meet are not winners of a district competition or even a state competition. They are national first place winners in CTSO competition. So to tell us more about that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Paul Gansimer, the Executive Director of Adult Career and Technical Education. So,
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Chairman Choate, school board members, Superintendent Weissong and staff, thank you for having us here tonight. I'm coming to speak to you about something that's really awesome beyond belief, and that's students who have won national level competitions. We had many students go to the national competition and get second, third, fourth, whole bunch of different placements, but we're just bringing to you tonight the winners of the national levels. So with Career and Technical Education, we call it our CTSOs, which is the Career Student Technical Student Organizations. And if you look up on the screen, you'll see that we have 7 different organizations that we have in our district to be able to have student leadership, student competitions demonstrating skills and workplace skills that they can demonstrate that they can take into the workplace. So we have FBLA, which is typically business. We have FFA, which is agriculture. We have HOSA, which is our health sciences. TSA, which is our technology, but it does include sometimes other things such as culinary and different things in there as well. We have Skills USA, which again, that can include culinary and technical as well. We have FCCLA, which is typically family and consumer science, and DECA, which is for marketing. So not every school has all of these CTSOs, but we do have all of these CTSOs in our school system with our secondary. With our post-secondary, we have Skills USA and we have HOSA. So tonight we're presenting to you our national winners. So the first school I'd like to bring up is R. Dan Nolan Middle School, Principal Carl Ackerman, and we're going to have Mr. Bagunu. So our advisor, Mr. Bagunu, go ahead and slide down a little bit. And then so our students that we're presenting tonight, they have their trophies. Guys, if you want to show their trophies. First place national, so we have Max Alpert, we have Harrison Kennedy, and Colton McGill for video game design.
Wow.
So we can clap down. We're told we're not really supposed to clap in here, but come on, this is national winners, so we'll clap for them. Our next school we have up tonight is our Braden River High School. And Braden River High School, we have Wendell Butler, the principal, and tonight we have Mike Weldon supporting as our administrator. We have TJ Leahy as our advisor. And we have 2 groups that we're presenting to you tonight. They're still filing in if you notice. So we have, with animatronics, we have Kyler Wade, who has graduated and is not able to be here tonight. But we have Shira Bogovarupu, there she is, and we have Chai Kurakula. So they did animatronics and they came in first place. So congratulations to them. Our second team is a larger team. And I heard from one of our leaders, well, I didn't know we had board game design. I want to go check that out next time. So we'll make sure we let everyone know what's going on, what they're doing. So we have board game design first place with Kira Wright. There's Kira. We have Riley Harris. We're going side to side here. We have Moksha Pachala. We have Jason Eggleston. We have Aya Culp. And we have Shira Bogavarupu. So let's congratulate them on their first place as well. At this time, I guess we can all silence our emergency alert. I guess that'll come up later for the meeting. So thank you, Braden River High School, as we got the announcement there. Our last group we have is our post-secondary, and this is at Manatee Technical College.
That's me now. AT&T was second, obviously.
Yeah, there you go.
Verizon is first.
So we have Manatee Technical College, and we have Doug Wagner, who's our director. So thank you, Mr. Wagner. We have Abby Tool Plummer, who's our advisor. And this is for television video production. We have Ricardo Campbell, who's here. He has graduated, so he came back especially for this. Alejandro Hernandez Cedillo also graduated, and we want to let you know that he did enlist with the Marines, so he's off with the Marines right now, probably doing boot camp and all that, and we appreciate him for his service to our country. So let's give a round of applause for Ricardo for first place. And of course, our last slide says, thank you so much for your support. There's a lot of things that we do with our CTSOs, a lot we do with the travel, a lot we do to support them at their schools. If we had $18 billion, we probably couldn't support all of them, so we support as much as we can with what we're allowed to have. So we're excited about this. I also wanted to mention to you that it's not only our team that does it, but it's all the teachers and all the principals. And we have our assistant director here for CT. We have Kelly Kennedy here tonight as well. So thank you for your support, and thank you for allowing me to do this. And I think Mr. Barber wants us to do a picture or something.
Yeah. Look, you can see where you fit in.
Oh.
Ready? All right. That's a big group. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, take one. I'm gonna need it. Those two.
Congratulations, Joe.
Thank you.
Cool stuff going on here.
When did you say? November? November 8th and 9th, is that what you're saying?
All right.
And they'll send out a link, because you have to make your reservation again, if you're gonna stay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. This next recognition, I know that the superintendent says whenever he goes around and talks to groups in the community, he always mentions what a tremendous community we have in terms of support of the school district. The organizations that support us, whether it's like the Chamber of Commerce, Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance, the Bradenton Area Economic Development Council, or nonprofit organizations like the United Way or the Patterson Foundation. Today, we have Beth Duda here from the Patterson Foundation. She's also the director of the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading. And now, I'm sure all of you know Beth real well. She's been around the district for years. So I thought I'd try and tell you a couple things you might not know about Beth. She spent 20 years working with students and educators as the director of education for the Florida Studio Theater. She spent 23 years doing that. So in addition, she's also an award-winning playwright. So you can think about that while she's telling us about one of the most key elements to the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading. So that.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm delighted to be here. I do have a slide presentation that I'm told I can bring up. Let's. Okay. I hope so.
Yes? You can do it? Okay.
Okay,
She'll,
very
she'll
good.
do it from there. Just
Very
tell her
nice.
when to.
I will. Very good. Well, and I'm honored to be here tonight, Chairman, board members, Dr. Weissong. I'm thrilled to be here to talk about one of the very important pillars of the campaign for grade level reading, which is school attendance. We can go to the next slide. The Suncoast campaign for grade level reading has been here locally since 2015. It's when Sarasota County and Manatee County realized they were both working on the initiatives of the campaign, and the Patterson Foundation stepped forward and said, what if we were a regional accelerator for the campaign for grade level reading, while each county could do their county-specific work? And both Manatee County and Sarasota County said yes. And in a short time, Charlotte County came knocking, and then we went knocking on the door of DeSoto County. And we are now a 4-county initiative serving Charlotte, DeSoto, Manatee, and Sarasota counties, with a goal of fostering widespread community participation to achieve shared aspiration for the success of families and children. We work to support what's happening in the schools, and we work mostly in the community to do that. Next slide, please. We are very fortunate in Manatee County to be supported by a tremendous coalition of organizations that have come together. You might know of it as the Big Plan, but it's a partnership with United Way Suncoast, the school district of Manatee County, Manatee Community Foundation, the Early Learning Coalition of Manatee County, and Step Up Suncoast. Through that coalition, many important things have been happening in the region. Breakfasts with a Purpose, led by Soren Four and Dr. Sheila Halpin. We've been able to support that work. And since 2016, we have supported the important work of attendance. Next slide, please. Attendance is one of the most important things that we can help support in the schools. A child can't learn if they're not in school. And through the Campaign for Grade Level Reading, we partner with Attendance Works, which is a national think tank about attendance. They have many, many programs, as well as information that schools can use to promote attendance and to make sure that chronic absenteeism doesn't exceed 10%. When a child misses 10% or more of the school year, regardless of its excused or unexcused absences, it can lead to academic decline. Missing 18 days is all it takes to be 10% of the school year absent. So we are working to make sure that families are aware of that missing just 2 days a month could put their child in academic danger. We know that having different tiers of intervention is necessary. Next slide. Attendance Works recommends a 3-tier approach to attendance. Your first tier is just encouraging better attendance for all students. Tier 2 interventions are designed to remove barriers to attendance. Tier 3 interventions are for our families who are struggling the most, who need more supports. We've been very proud of our Tier 1 intervention for the last several years. Next slide. It's the Attendance Awareness Poster Contest. I've had the pleasure of standing before the board before, honoring the children who have created unique pieces of art where they have internalized the message of good attendance, shared it through their artwork, and then taken that artwork home to share with their parents. This year, we have 33 elementary schools in Manatee County that are participating in the Attendance Awareness Poster Contest. Posters are due to be turned in on January 30th. We go to each school and we collect their winning posters. They select a winning poster for each grade level. We collect those posters, duplicate the posters, and return them to the school framed. So the school keeps a copy of the winning poster for the grade level, and the child receives a poster. In addition to that, we have signed certificates for the children, certificates of achievement, and thanks to the generosity of the Patterson Foundation, a $25 gift card for each one of the winning students. Next slide. This is just an example of some of the artwork that has been shared over the years. We look forward to the poster collection day at the Patterson Foundation. We are looking forward to having more than 400 winning posters come into the foundation. We're very excited by some of the plans. Manatee County this year has asked us about using some of the posters to wrap light boxes by traffic signals, and we share these posters with the schools on an electronic drive so they can use them throughout the year to continue to promote outstanding attendance. As I mentioned, that's a Tier 1 intervention. But ever since the pandemic, chronic absentee numbers across the country have risen, and they've risen to very concerning levels. And we have been working with our school district partners to come up with ideas to help promote better attendance. And this year, we are introducing a new plan called the Motivating Improved Attendance Plan, or MIA. Next slide. The MIA program simply is that we are asking schools to pay attention in the first 35 days of school to students who have missed 3 or more days in that time. And then for the schools to make a concentrated effort to reach out to those families, to establish or affirm the relationship with the families, to try to identify any barriers that might be in place to attendance, and work with the families to mitigate those barriers. The Patterson Foundation is going to check back in with those cohorts of children right before Thanksgiving break. And any child who has not had more than 2 days absence between the end of September and November 22nd will be eligible to bring their families to a celebration at the school to celebrate improved attendance. We are hopeful that this investment in working with the schools, we're providing them with toolkits, with materials that they can use with families, training materials for the school professionals, as well as this incentive for the children and families to have a little celebration, celebrating their commitment to improved attendance, that we will see even more of a change in chronic absentee numbers in the coming years. So that is my presentation for today. We are so grateful for our partnership with the School District of Manatee County through Soren for the work of Dr. Wysong and all of the administrators that we're able to work with. We find great opportunities for partnership, not only in attendance, but in family engagement work, and of course, school readiness and summer learning. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for
I think that's it.
Any questions, board?
Any questions?
I don't think so. No? Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Great.
wish you all the
It's really nice to be here.
It's
And
wonderful
Great.
what you do
Yeah.
for the community and our students.
it's important work that we're all involved in, and we accomplish much more when we work together.
I think it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Do we want a photo with her?
You didn't want a picture with her?
Excuse me?
Photo?
I took photos of her while she was speaking, but
That's fine.
okay. All right. Okay, our last recognition is Hispanic Heritage Month, which runs from September 15th to October 15th. It is meant to recognize the contributions, history, and culture of Hispanic and Latino Americans to the United States of America and to the world. And we have some special representatives to help us celebrate it. And Deborah Estes is here. She's our Director of ESOL, Migrant and Dual Language Program. So, Deborah.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Good evening. Thank you so much for your time. Good morning, Mr. Chair Choate, I should say, and the rest of the board members and Dr. Weissong. I appreciate your time this evening, and I have to say one of the most exciting things that I ever get to do is bring some of our fabulous students to our board meetings. So I feel very honored that these students gave up some of their time to be here this evening, because they all look heartbroken that they're not going to have to go home tonight and do a lot of homework. But maybe they'll get some rest. So just as of today, the school district of Manatee County has over 21,000 Hispanic students in our district, which represents over 41% of our total population. This information, when parents are registering their children, are self-identified. They get to pick if they're Hispanic or Latino, and this number is growing immensely in our district. So we love to celebrate the diversity and recognize and celebrate the diversity in our district. We're pleased to announce that National Hispanic Heritage Month is September 15th through October 15th, as Mr. Barber said, and this year's theme in Florida is honoring Hispanic contribution to Florida's success. So during this Hispanic Heritage Month, we recognize the contribution of Hispanic and Latino Americans to the United States and celebrate their heritage and culture. Hispanic Heritage Month is a time for our school to celebrate with all students the contributions that the Latino community has had in our schools, society, and community. So what I'd like to do, we have a proclamation that'll be read in a moment, but what we did is we invited a high school student from each of our high schools. One of our high schools was not able to send somebody because we know there's a lot of extracurricular activities happening, and I don't know how these young folks do it, because I get exhausted hearing about some of their course loads and some of their extracurricular activities. But I'd like to invite each one of them up just to introduce themselves, tell you what school they came from, and a little bit about themselves. So I'll start with this young lady right here who looks so dapper in her uniform.
Hello, I'm Cadet Captain Ashley Cholette. I'm from Manatee High School. So a little bit about myself is that I came to this country when I was 7 years old, and I am proud to say that I've made the best of it. So my plans after high school are to attend a 4-year university with an ROTC scholarship and graduate with a bachelor's degree in forensic science.
Wow.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mateo Peralta, and I'm a senior now at Parish Community High School. I moved here just 4 years ago, and I've been taking a lot of hard classes and doing the AP Capstone research diploma and certificate. So I've been trying my hardest just to stand out of the crowd and just do my best. And after school, I'm not sure to which college yet, but I want to do major in law. I want to be a criminal lawyer, because I really caught my interest. So I'm really interested in just law and just the U.S. government.
Good for you.
Hi, my name's Isai Palacios. I'm from Brain River High School, and I come from Mexican and Guatemalan descent. And what I want to do after high school is go to college and be an entrepreneur, because I like business and I come from a business family, so it's pretty much in my background, and so I like doing.
Good afternoon, my name is Carlos Fabian Mato Pedrosa. I come from Bayshore High School. I moved here 2 years ago from Cuba, my motherland. I want to study is dentist, my major in dentist. I want to be a surgeon in dentist maxillofacial. My progress is pretty good because I'm part of ESOL program. I did more 150 commercial visa hours through a process only 2 years. In part, my teacher helped me through the English, to learn English, all other things. I'm trying to get my scholarship for go to USF next year because I'm senior right now. I want to part of the Progress of Dentist program in the United States. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Alexa Jamie and I'm a junior from Lakewood Ranch High School. Some things about me is I'm in 6 AP courses currently and in 6 extracurriculars. And I'm from Nicaraguan descent. Both my parents are from there. And I would like to be a child psychologist when I go to college and do a master's in that as well. And I just really, there's a big issue with mental health among students, and I just really want to contribute to helping those kids and help them persevere through everything. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Isabella Peña. Both of my parents are from Colombia, and I come from Palmetto High School. I am planning to study journalism. I feel like there is a decline in that career at this moment, and I feel like I could attribute to our society in a lot of ways. Thank you.
Now it's time, proclamation time.
Yeah, Ms. Foreman has the proclamation.
Whereas during National Hispanic Heritage Month, we recognize the contributions made by Hispanic and Latino Americans in the United States and celebrate their culture and heritage. And whereas Hispanic Americans have had a profound and positive influence on our country, the state of Florida, and Manatee County through their strong commitment to family, faith, hard work, and community service. And whereas generations of Latino Americans have served in the armed forces to defend liberty and advance democracy around the world. And whereas there are more than 18,000 Hispanic and Latino students in the school district of Manatee County who comprise over 41% of the student population, and Hispanic and Latino employees who serve at every level of the school district. And whereas Hispanic Americans have worked diligently and have successfully embraced the opportunities of the American dream, whereas together we recognize the Latino community in Manatee County whose willingness to share their heritage and traditions have made our community a better place to live. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the School Board of Manatee County that the month of September 15th through October 15th, 2024 will be known, designated, and set aside as Hispanic Heritage Month, adopted with a quorum present and voting this 24th day of September 2024. Signed by Chad Choate, Chair, and Jason Weissong, Superintendent.
Yes.
And it has become our tradition when we do our proclamation, we always invite one of our Spanish-speaking employees to read the proclamation in Spanish as well. So tonight we have our amazing dual language specialist for the district, Lawyer Kiza, who is going to read the proclamation for our friends and family in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Good evening, buenas noches. I came from Cuba 22 years ago, and with a small suitcase, and look at me now, standing in front of you. So I can tell all of you that you can achieve all your dreams. And I'm going to read the proclamation en español. Proclamación del Mes de la Herencia Hispana, considerando que durante el Mes de la Herencia Hispana reconocemos las contribuciones hechas por los hispanos y latinoamericanos en los Estados Unidos y celebramos su cultura y herencia, y considerando que los hispanoamericanos han tenido una influencia profunda y positiva en nuestro país, el estado de Florida y el condado de Manatee, a través de su fuerte compromiso con la familia, la fe, el trabajo arduo y el servicio comunitario, y considerando que generaciones de latinoamericanos han servido en las Fuerzas Armadas de Estados Unidos para defender la libertad y promover la democracia en todo el mundo, y considerando que hay más de 18,000 estudiantes hispanos y latinos en el distrito escolar del condado de Manatee, que comprenden más del 41% de la población estudiantil, y los empleados hispanos y latinos prestan servicios en todos los niveles del distrito escolar, y considerando que los hispanoamericanos han trabajado diligentemente y han aprovechado con éxito las oportunidades del sueño americano, y considerando que juntos reconocemos a la comunidad latina en el condado de Manatee, cuya voluntad de compartir su herencia y tradiciones han hecho de nuestra comunidad un mejor lugar para vivir, ahora, por lo tanto, sea proclamado por la Junta Escolar del Condado de Manatee que desde el 15 de septiembre al 15 de octubre de 2024 será reconocido, designado y reservado como el mes de la herencia hispana, adoptado con quórum presente y votaciones el día 24 de septiembre de 2024. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Get the students in the middle, maybe you on the outside and you on the outside. And, okay. All right, very good. Ready? Great, thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
One of my favorite programs. One of my favorite programs. Yes. Okay.
All right, good stuff. Thank you, Mr. Barber, for leading those student celebrations and recognitions. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to item number 9, public comments for this evening. We do have several to get to, so when I call your name, come on up. You'll have 3 minutes at the podium. You're up. If you look up to the screen above, will be your timer. And just aware, public commenters, we haven't really had some in some while. It is board policy. We don't actually interact with the public comment. If you're asking questions, so just be aware that if we're mute and silent, we just don't respond to that's our policy. So it's not that we don't like you or don't agree with what you're saying. All right, so let's jump into our first one is Virginia McCullum, followed by Madge Potts Williams.
Hello, my name is Virginia McCallum. I reside in District 5, and today I'm representing the League of Women Voters Manatee County Gun Violence Prevention Group. So thank you all for your expression of grief and support at your recent board meeting for the families of the 4 people shot to death and 9 injured by gunfire at Appalachia School in Georgia on September 4th. We share your sentiments and we want to support your efforts to prioritize school safety. The League of Women Voters Manatee is dedicated to helping spread the message of gun violence prevention. Hardening facilities and providing rules and close oversight of students, while at school is important, but there is more we can do. We as a community need to come together to send a strong message to our school parents and guardians that they also play a critical role in keeping kids safe in school. It is a sad fact that over 75% of school shooters under 18 get the firearm they use from their own home or the home of a close relative. School safety begins with gun safety at home. We hope that you will join us to advocate and encourage school families to keep firearms safely secured at home. We are available to collaborate and provide you with resources and information to support this effort. Safe gun storage at home is key to keeping kids safe at school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madge Potts Williams, followed by Ardella Danielle Jonisa.
Good evening. I am Dr. Madge Potts Williams. I am a general dentist who lives and works in Manatee County, and I was pleased to hear the young man wants to join my profession. I am here to support the naming of the new East County K-8 school after Lynette C. Edwards. Mrs. Edwards is a daughter of Manatee County, having graduated from Lincoln Memorial High School and returning after college to serve as a teacher dean, assistant principal, principal, director of personnel, and assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction for Manatee County Schools. She demonstrated commitment, compassion, and excellence throughout her career. Lynette C. Edwards continues her commitment to the community as a leader on boards and public service organizations in Manatee, Pinellas, and Sarasota counties that address the educational, physical, mental, and fiscal health of its citizens, including the underserved and low-income residents. She is actively engaged in scholarship and mentoring programs that provide hope and help for the many talented students in our community who want to further their education and training after high school. Many of those students have returned to become strong, contributing members of this community, and they look to role models such as Mrs. Edwards to thank for their success. I hope that you will take my words to heart and recognize the importance of a legacy such as that of Mrs. Edwards and how her story and her passion for education can continue to inspire young people long after all of the people in this room are no longer here to share her story. I look forward to seeing her name on the new school in August 2025. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry to pronounce any names wrong. Is it, how do you pronounce?
Ardella was correct. Ardella Danielle Jones.
Oh, Jones, there's an A on the end on here. So
There
sorry, Miss
is.
Jones.
Maybe that was my typo. I
That's okay.
apologize.
Jacqueline McNeil is following. Sorry.
Okay. Again, my name is Ardella Danielle Jones, and I am also here in support of the nomination of Miss Lynette Edwards to have the naming of the new East County K-8 school scheduled to open in August 2025, named after her. As you heard before, Miss Edwards is a native of Manatee County. She has contributed to this community in so many ways. Just to kind of summarize some of the contributions that she's made throughout her career. Again, she started in Manatee County. She is a graduate of Lincoln Memorial High School. She worked as a teacher, dean, assistant principal, director of personnel, and retired as assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction for Manatee County. Ms. Edwards continues to demonstrate her commitment to the advancement of educational opportunities for all students by actively serving on relevant committees and boards in Manatee, Pinellas, and Sarasota counties. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. McNeil, followed by Diana Smith.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So obviously there's a running theme here. My name is Jacqueline McNeil, and I am here to voice my support for naming the new East County K-8 school that is scheduled to open in August 2025 after our esteemed Manatee County resident, Lynette C. Edwards. Mrs. Edwards is a product of this county and this school district and a graduate of Lincoln Memorial High School. She has dedicated much of her career to the students and staff of this school district. Her compassion and expertise as a teacher, dean, assistant principal, director of personnel, and assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction has shown that she has a passion for education for this district. Even after her retirement, she continues to demonstrate her commitment to the advancement of educational opportunities for all students by actively serving on relevant committees and boards. Please accept this endorsement of the nomination of Mrs. Edwards for this prestigious honor. I look forward to seeing her name on the new school. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Diana Smith, followed by Harriet Moore.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Diana Smith. 50 years ago, I started my career in education as a teacher at a K through 8 school in rural South Carolina. But today I come before you to support the naming of the new K through 8 school in Manatee County after or for Lynette Edwards. Ms. Edwards, as you heard, is a product of Manatee County Public Schools. She enrolled at Lincoln Memorial High School in the 9th grade after moving here from Georgia and graduated from Lincoln Memorial High School. After completing her bachelor's degree in home economics education from Tuskegee Institute, which is now Tuskegee University, and she had a short stint in insurance, and then she returned to her former high school, which had become a middle school, to become a teacher, a dean of students, and finally, assistant principal. She went on to become the principal at Bradenton Middle School and Johnson Middle School. She received her Master of Science degree in Curriculum and Instruction, followed by certification in Educational Administration and Supervision from University of South Florida. She was employed with the school district for 36 years, and that was as a teacher, dean, assistant principal, director of personnel, and assistant superintendent of curriculum. It's my understanding that at Ms. Edwards' retirement, she reminded the board that every child deserves a quality education, and that new teaching strategies and techniques will be needed to meet the new Florida standards. So as the district moves now to this new brick and mortar era, it is most fitting to name the first K through 8 Manatee County Public School built from the ground up after Lynette Edwards, who is an educator, a youth advocate, and a transformational leader. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Harriet Moore, then followed by Kimberly Albritton.
Good evening, Chair Choate, board members, Superintendent Wysong. I see you everywhere now, right? This is like coming home for me, so I think I've been recruited since I walked through the door. But good evening. And of course, I'm Dr. Harriet Moore. I've worked in Manatee County some time back. I'm here tonight to speak regarding the naming of the new K-8 school. I strongly believe that the individual chosen for this honor should be someone of exceptional moral character, integrity, and unwavering passion for the education of all children in Manatee County. That person, without question, is former Superintendent Lynette Edwards. I had the privilege of working with Miss Edwards when I opened a charter school in the district many years ago. I was immediately struck by her leadership and dedication not only to the education of children, but also to addressing the needs of the entire community. Her approach was always about caring for the whole child. Throughout her remarkable career as a school administrator and later assistant superintendent, Ms. Edwards demonstrated an unwavering commitment to our students, families, and this district. Her servant leadership has been an inspiration to so many, including myself. I was so inspired by her that I pursued an opportunity to work directly under her as the charter and contracted school liaison here in Manatee County, the first one I might add. Under her guidance, I grew tremendously as a leader. Her influence continues to shape my growth even to this day, and I regularly seek her wisdom, which she generously shares without hesitation. Ms. Edwards has dedicated her life to serving the children and families of this district, whether through her professional work, her church, her sorority, or through the countless former colleagues and community members who still turn to her for guidance and support. I think we don't feel like she's retired just yet, so we want to get all we can. For these reasons, I can think of no one more deserving of this honor than Lynette Edwards. Naming the new K-8 school after her would be a fitting tribute to a leader who has given so much to this community. And I just want to say very quickly that last week I was named by the Boys and Girls Club of Sarasota and DeSoto counties as at the leadership breakfast. And who did I look out and see in the audience to support me was one and only Lynette Edwards. So she just has such a great reach, and I just hope you will consider this as you're moving forward in the naming of the new K-8 school. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kim Albritton. Hello.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Albritton, and I am here as well in support of Ms. Lynette C. Edwards to be named for the new East County K-8 school. Ms. Edwards has been an inspiration to me. I guess I won't tell my age, but even with me growing up through Bradenton Middle, going on to Southeast and college, and then even now I seek her advice and her wisdom. She is a great beacon of success throughout her career in the Manatee County School District, and even now. So she has not really retired. She helps on countless boards with scholarships and mentoring programs for the youth today. With her 36-year career in Manatee County, as everyone else has said, from teacher to dean to assistant principal to principal, she has a proven track record. Even going to director of personnel, assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, she is a more than worthy candidate to have the new school for K-8 in her honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes our public comment. We want to thank everybody coming and giving their public comment. Appreciate your time. Moving on to item number 10, which is reports and presentations. Mr. Jensen, you want to come on up? 24-25 FAST progress monitoring, PM1.
Thank you very much, Chair Choate, board members, Superintendent Weissong, good evening. Over the past 12 months, I've had the absolute pleasure to stand before you a number of times to talk about the progress of our students and teachers throughout the district in a number of data presentations from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year to the end of last year. And now we're starting that cycle over again with our baseline data for the 24-25 school year. Before we jump in, and please feel free to stop me throughout the presentation with any questions or comments you may have. I wanted to introduce the man behind the machine that makes all of this happen, which is Mr. Evan McCarthy. He's our, he's appeared.
He's a real person.
He's a real person. I was thrilled to invite Mr. McCarthy to be here. As you know, he leads a small and mighty team of just very talented, very knowledgeable people in our school district who really are our school leaders and our teachers and our district leaders rely on to make all the decisions we do to operate the school district and do what's right for students and their education. And Mr. McCarthy and his team have a really incredible set of technical knowledge, but they also have an incredibly creative way of looking at data, and I think him and his team are able to provide us with insights that other school districts don't get because of the innovative ways they look at data and their commitment to creating whatever we can dream up, whatever we want to see. So we appreciate him and his team, and they obviously play a huge role in all of these presentations that I give to you. He's normally texting me to bail me out whenever you ask me questions I don't know the answer to. So today he can just come up or shout. So as you know, FAST is the Florida Assessment of Student Thinking. That's our very unique, kind of first in the country set of progress monitor assessments that make up the assessment system here in the state of Florida. And there's one that happens in the beginning of the year. That's called PM1, Progress Monitor 1. And we just finished administering that, and that provides us with our baseline data for the year. Then in the middle of the year, and you see that testing window there, December of 2024 to January of 25, that's where we administer PM2 for our mid-year data to see our students' progress. And then PM3 is that culminating data at the end of the year, and that's what the state's accountability system is based on, and that's the Progress Monitor 3 data. Our K2 students test in the Renaissance STAR platform, and you can see the different assessments they take there on the bottom left of the slide, and our 3 through 10 students take the Cambium FAST assessments, and you can see those listed on the bottom right.
Mr. Jensen?
Yes, sir.
Since you did say we could ask questions as you go along.
Absolutely.
On this slide here, what are the factors that determine whether we test before Christmas or after Christmas, so to speak?
We like to break up the tests so that we're not overburdening schools and students with too many assessments at once. We want to make sure we're getting good results from our students. So the state sets testing windows for us, and then annually Mr. McCarthy's team creates an assessment calendar that is brought to the board, and that kind of locks in those testing windows, and then we kind of map the windows of assessments to different weeks, and the schools administer those. And in addition to all the data disaggregation and processing and the things he does there, Mr. McCarthy's team is really responsible for ensuring that we have quality testing throughout the year. So our schools are testing to fidelity, going through all the state processes, we're collecting data appropriately from students. And so that's how we set it. So typically in December, we'll test math, January we'll test ELA, something like that.
Great, thank you.
And as a reminder, FAST is also unique from some of the old paper-based tests we would take, because FAST is computer adaptive, which means when a student gets an answer correct, the next question they get is a little bit tougher, a little bit higher level standard, or higher depth of knowledge on that same skill. And if they get a question wrong, then it kind of backs it down. And then over the course of questioning, it kind of triangulates, where it believes a student is on the particular set of skills. Again, one thing that's unique about FAST is that it can remember year over year, and so kind of based where a student ended last year, it may start them in a particular window of question difficulty to begin this year. One of the other really fabulous things about the FAST assessment is that it provides a lot of insight for our parents and for our families. So DOE provides a number of resources online. This is an excerpt from one of their parent guides on understanding the number of reports that are in the platform. And just as I did last year, I wanted to highlight this section because we administer 3 progress monitor assessments over the course of the year. This is the baseline. This is where the students are starting. So if I'm a 7th grade ELA student, I'm taking 7th grade English, I'm getting all of the 7th grade year content, but I haven't really been exposed to that content yet. So this is setting the baseline, and then the next 2 assessments are going to determine kind of the progress I'm making in that learning over the course of the year. Yes, ma'am.
Is it that student that you're taking the ELA test, when they are doing PM3 in 6th grade, let's say they're just knocking it out of the ballpark, does the data from that test go so far as to take them through 7th grade ELA?
No, ma'am. So the assessment itself is based on just the standards for the course that are being assessed. Good. Mr. McCarthy's nodding at me.
So they don't.
So they don't move into another grade level's content. It becomes more complex in that grade level's content, but they don't move into a different course or grade level. So one of the tools that our families have access to is the family portal. So when we do start getting results, and again, one of the interesting and exciting things about the FAST assessment is we get that data back instantly. It used to take us a month or longer in order to get that data back from the state. Teachers get it almost immediately, or families get it almost immediately. And so parents can log in through their family portal in Focus and access their students' reports, get important contextual data from the state, and learn about how their students making progress in their courses. So the next couple slides are just examples of what parents can see in that system. You see kind of at the top of a report, you might see kind of the scale score for your student, what level that was. You can see at the bottom left kind of how that compares with peers at the school district and state level, some notes for families. You can also see more detailed reports that are aggregated by category or domain. So like, how is my student doing on reading, prose, and poetry? And then even better, what are some next steps in achievement level descriptors? So like what can I take away as a parent to support my student with on this particular set of knowledge? In all of this, progress monitor testing factors into our end of year school grade components. So this is the buckets of assessment data that informs our school grades and our district grades. And as you know, we've gone over these in all of our database presentations. And this is for the 24-25 school year, all of the different school grade components that will factor into the different school and district grades. And as you can see, this has not changed from last year. So what we'll do to get started is jump into our ELA and reading results. And this first slide is K1 and 2, which is focused on the STAR assessment. And last year, I don't believe I was able to show you this data at the beginning of the year because the system was so new, it wasn't able to break it out into performance levels to start the year like we were able to in 3 through 10. So this is exciting that we get to start the year with that kind of baseline for our students. And you can see that we've remained relatively consistent as far as kind of the baseline where our students are starting the year when it comes to their, like the number of students who are already demonstrating proficiency or on grade level content. So you see kind of that 1, that 2, and then that 3+. The 3+ represents all the students who've already demonstrated that they're on grade level with the content for that course or grade level. The other thing I think it's really important to remember as parents and as educators is this is a baseline, and it's really expected that students don't know the content at the beginning of the year. And so when you look at, we also, in addition to getting a scale score, we get a percentile rank. You know, if as a parent or a teacher, you can see like, oh, you scored at the 90th percentile, or you scored at the 35th percentile. On this first progress monitor, you can score all the way up to almost the 70th percentile and still fall into the level 1 range. We would not expect a student scoring at the 70th percentile to be level 1 at the end of the year. We know that student is going to have demonstrate remarkable learning over the course of the year and score very well by the end of the year, but by far most students fall into that level 1 bucket to start the year. The other thing to point out on this slide is you can kind of see we're consistent with the state in kindergarten and 2nd grade, but it looks like we're not performing well in 1st grade. That is kind of an illusion because there's 2 tests that students take in reading in STAR. There's STAR reading, there's STAR early literacy, and there's STAR reading. And early literacy is the test that kindergarten students take and some 1st grade students take until they score a certain score, and then they switch to STAR reading. By the end of 1st grade, all students are required by the state to take STAR reading. So what we do in Manatee is we just start all of our 1st grade students on STAR reading. We start them on the harder test because that's the test they're expected to take at the end of the year. Some districts, actually you can see 61%, when we pulled this data, 61% of students in 1st grade actually were still on the STAR early literacy assessment. So our scores here are taking a harder assessment than a lot of the comparable students in the state, which is why you see that discrepancy, which is also sometimes why this data in isolation isn't a good indicator of how our students are performing relative to their peers. A lot of context needed, also why I try to add footnotes to slides as often as possible. Then through 3rd through 5th grade, we move into the FAST assessment. And again, you can see kind of where our students are starting on level 1, level 2, and then level 3+, which is all the students that scored on grade level or higher. So those would be students who scored 3s, 4s, or 5s. You can see again, relative consistency relative to the state on across all grade levels with improved performance consistent with the state in 4th and 5th. And again, you can see some variance across the grade levels between district and charter schools, but again, kind of district students keeping up with the state across most domains in most areas. And again, as a reminder to everyone, this is a baseline, so this is where we start. This is before our teachers work their magic and our students are working hard in our classes every day. The other thing to point out about the third grade exam is it's a very transitional exam for our students, because the last exam our students took in second grade was the STAR exam. The first exam the students take in third grade is the FAST exam. Those two assessments are very different in their format and style. And so for our third graders, I'm sure on that first progress monitor, before they're used to what that new assessment looks like, it's kind of a learning experience for them, which is, I think, why we also see some lower scores in third grade across the board.
Mr. Jensen, would you educate us quickly? I think I know, but I want to make sure I understand on the process. If a student is not able to achieve the level 3 on the grade 3 ELA test, then what happens at that point? How do we try and help them to get them to the next grade, or what happens if they can't achieve that?
So we have a state statute that requires that students display some mastery of grade level content in third grade before being promoted. And the state defines that in a number of ways and has some concordant tests and other opportunities for including a portfolio that students can use to demonstrate mastery or some mastery. So if a student doesn't score a level 2 or higher, they may be considered for retention. That's when a student might be invited to summer reading camp, and we'll do a lot of intensive work in ELA over the summer and in reading over the summer, and then reassess that student. One exciting thing about the 24-25 school year is historically students had one shot at the third PM, and then we try some other tests like SAT-10, et cetera. The state has actually opened it up to where now we can do a summer retake of PM3 for our students who are who may be retained because they scored a level 1 on their first attempt at PM3. And so we'll do summer reading camp like we normally do that extra instruction with students, and then we'll be able to reassess them on PM3, and if they maybe still struggle with that, we can try one of the other concordant exams as well. Additionally, throughout the year, when a student demonstrates that they're not performing well on that exam and they're at risk of being retained or need intensive interventions, we begin those interventions as soon as we're aware of them. We notify families, and we also will start a portfolio process with that student and all the other things. It's very governed by Florida law, that whole process, and Ms. Nichols and the curriculum team do an excellent job working with schools to ensure that we're supporting students through that process.
Okay, and then what can a parent do if the child doesn't achieve proficiency on the PM3 test at the end of the school year? What is the process? Do we notify all those parents about their options, summer school, concordant tests, or what? I'm just curious, what's the process at that point?
Correct. I mean, those parents have received communication typically from schools, from their school prior, unless for some reason, maybe things are going on in that child's life when they took that exam and they performed far worse than we expected them to. But in general, the parents have already been working with the school through a series of, interventions. Those parents receive an invitation to summer reading camp requesting that those students enroll and participate in that extra month, a little bit longer than a month of instruction over the summer. Let them know about all the additional opportunities that their students have to demonstrate mastery.
Such as?
Taking those additional assessments that the state specifies. So like STAT-10, STAR third grade is one we use, as well as now a retake of PM3. And so we've provided kind of a number of windows for students to demonstrate mastery. And we work really hard with students to try to put them in the best possible situation to be successful.
Great, that was informative for me, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. So you're saying on the K through 2, it's the STAR testing?
Yes, ma'am.
And we do the more difficult level of STAR, the STAR 1, STAR 2, you said, correct?
So the easier one that you start off with in kindergarten is called STAR Early Literacy.
Okay.
And then the harder one, which is the expectation that all students are using that exam by the end of first grade, is STAR Reading. And that's the one in first grade we start all students on.
Okay, so if we have a student at level 1 with the star reading in second grade, or even, well, let me back up. If we have a student at level 3 in the star reading, but they're gonna struggle with the fast reading in the third, right? Third grade, they go into the fast instead of star, correct?
In third grade, they do.
Right, if they're struggling, say, in the star, do we put them in the summer reading program in the star or the best
So
testing?
the summer reading camp is only for third grade students who've
Okay.
completed their third grade year or are at risk of retention because if they scored level 1 at the end of the year. Those students, go through the summer learning process, and then they'll take the FAST third grade exam. They take FAST third at the end of the year. Then if those students aren't successful on that, we'll actually use the third grade STAR assessment and allow those students to try to take that. And if they score a certain state cutoff score and the state determines those scores, then they're eligible for a good cause promotion. And then we do the same with the SAT 10, which is another alternative assessment. You can kind of think of it like high school concordance, where we have like PSAT and SAT exams that students can use instead of the state exam to demonstrate what they know. That's what we do at the end of summer reading camp for our students.
I think it's great that we have K through 2 data, but I guess my question is, if we can see that they are not demonstrating progress at the second grade, we don't hold them back there. We promote them on to third, according to what your assessment was. But if we see that they're struggling in second, do we have a reading program for second graders during the summer?
So a lot of those, it's not as structured as something like summer reading camp. A lot of that tends to be more individualized and happen during the school year. We are required by state law, going as early as pre-K, when a student demonstrates that they're in need of urgent intervention in reading or math, we have to immediately start the process of delivering those interventions.
Before we get to the third grade?
Before we get to
Right.
the third grade. And so those students are already on our radars. Our school's working hard with them. We're doing a lot of small group work. We're doing a lot of evidence-based intervention systems and programs with those students. It's definitely a labor of love for our elementary schools, who just do an amazing job of grouping students, of doing intervention, of differentiating instruction. They really work very hard and are quite expert at it.
Okay, great. You said that if a third grade reader couldn't pass the FAST level 1, then you would give them a star level, higher level star test to see if they could pass that. Is that what you just said?
It's at the end of the third grade year.
Right.
We've moved on to the FAST test.
Right.
They've taken PM1, PM2, PM3, and it's really all about that PM3. So if they get a level 1 on PM3, that's when we have summer reading camp. That's when we'll give them alternate assessments like STAR for third grade. Or not everyone takes STAR in third grade. It's just one of the state's many options for a student to demonstrate that maybe they know the material, but they, for some reason, aren't doing well on the FAST test, but they can show it through that STAR test.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Thank you.
My pleasure. Yes, ma'am.
How many students, you may not know, actually ended up taking the STAR test at the end of summer reading?
So
How many students have we retained?
I don't want to misspeak on that data, so what I can do is put together some charts for you, kind of showing retentions as well as the students who took the different alternative assessments, and then the number of students who demonstrated proficiency or grade level standards through one of those alternative assessments, and how many students we had good cause promote through them.
Wonderful, thank you. Mr. McCarthy, get right on it.
Absolutely. He usually sends me like a list of all the things he's going to create after these meetings, which is fabulous. He's very on it. So here you see our middle school data, 6th through 8th grade. Again, consistency and growth from last year. I think we are attributing this to, we're seeing increased, reading improvement across the state, and also familiarity with the exam and benchmarks across the state. And our teachers are just becoming much more knowledgeable about the standards, how to prepare students for these assessments, and I mean, now we're in, what, year 3 of implementation on this, so this is really where we're hitting the ground running. And again, you see kind of variance, small variance, grade level to grade level, but again,
We're getting there.
very consistency. And again, a baseline for us to work from to start the year. And then finally, our 9th and 10th grade students also take the ELA FAST, and as you know, the 10th grade FAST is a graduation requirement. And you can see we've made progress and closed the gap with the state in that grade.
Okay, so you said that 10th is a required to, what did you say?
Graduate.
To graduate, okay. That's all I needed, I'm sorry. I'm writing as I'm thinking. Go ahead. I'm good, go ahead.
As you all know, and you know, we appreciate your support in helping the curriculum team and our school leaders with all the resources they need to support student. We have a constellation of curriculum and human beings supporting our students in reading, and so you can see we just have a number of fabulous district adopted materials, materials made by our curriculum team and Ms. Nichols. We have our Lexia program, which students work in for reading and reading intervention. We do a lot of writing in our classrooms, and I hope that as you visit schools, you've seen our students actively writing in their classes. We're expanding our UF Lassinger Center professional learning for literacy with our K-2 teachers to build that science of reading foundation in those teachers. And we're always working with systemic volunteer programs for coordinated in-school and after-school support for our students. Really, like Ms. Judah said, we have an amazing community that's really focused on this mission of supporting student reading, and we feel a lot of that support in our schools.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've shared with you a number of times, we really triangulate all of those around our district. Look for is what we're looking for as a district when we walk into classrooms, and what we work with our school administrators on focusing on just 3 very key things that we think will make a huge difference in ensuring students are successful by the end of the year. Our school leaders are visiting each other's schools a lot this year and giving each other peer feedback on whether or not they're seeing these things at each other's schools, and then sharing best practices on what works and what's been most effective for them. And so we're seeing school leaders walking each other's classrooms. We're getting the pleasure of walking classrooms with our principals, and I think it's going to be a very instructive and powerful way of building their skill set as instructional leaders. All right, so now we're going to transition on to math. Math, I'm going to front load you a little bit on because math has undergone the most changes this year. As you know, we have traditionally accelerated in math in middle school in Florida. You can see we have columns that represent our most accelerated pathway, our accelerated pathway, and our traditional pathway. And really, in middle school acceleration, the key is, what grade do you take algebra in? So in the most accelerated pathway, you take algebra in 7th grade. If you want to be accelerated, but still, but not on that most accelerated pathway, you end up taking algebra in 8th grade. And then if you're on the most traditional pathway, you end up taking algebra in 9th grade. And that's kind of how the system's been set up for a number of years, and that acceleration also factors into our school and district accountability. This is that traditional pathway represented going all the way to grade 3 now. With the transition to the BEST standards, the state added course codes for grade 3 accelerated math, grade 4 accelerated math, and grade 5 accelerated math, which is really just 6th grade math, and we teach it in the 5th grade year. The big change this year, and the piece I need to front load you with in this presentation is our the data in math looks different because we have changed the grade levels at which those students are testing in those accelerated courses, and that's indicated off to the right. That was based off of teacher feedback. It was based off of speaking with our school principals and administrators, and also looking at other districts throughout the state, their data, and where they're testing students and how successful they're being. And so you can see that if you're a grade 4 accelerated math student, you're actually taking the 5th grade FAST assessment for math. If you're a grade 6, if you're a 5th grader taking grade 6 math, you're taking the 6th grade FAST. That makes sense because you're taking 6th grade math. You spend the whole year learning 6th grade math. Why would you take a different course, right? And then our grade 7 students, which are really learning pre-algebra, or grade 7 accelerated students are learning pre-algebra, they're taking the 8th grade FAST, which is pre-algebra content. So this year, based on kind of getting over the hurdle of the initial implementation with our accelerated classes, we've now moved those 3 classes to test in alignment with the course standards that are being taught. And you can see in addition to all the data, Mr. McCarthy creates beautiful graphics for us. And this kind of aligns the courses to the standards being taught. So for example, you see in 3rd grade accelerated, you learn 3rd math standards and you learn the first half of 4th. And then when you get to 4th grade, you learn the back half of 4th, and then you learn all of 5th. And that's why we do the 5th grade exam at the end of that course. And you can kind of see how the standards map to the courses so that students aren't missing standards as they're going through the accelerated pathway. And we're also supplementing their learning with summer prep courses and other tutoring and prep opportunities within the school day. And eventually students, based on how much they want to accelerate, end up in Algebra 1 and geometry, etc. So this is, I think, a really nice representation of the impact that's had on the data you're going to see. You can see these are basically the number of students who took each test last year to this year. So for example, you can see in grade 4, we've had over 1,000 fewer students take the grade 4 math assessment because those students are our 4th grade accelerated students. They're now starting on the 5th grade assessment. And it kind of cascades up from there. So we've had 5th grade students taking the 6th grade assessment and 6th and 7th grade students taking the 8th grade assessment because they're accelerating. What this does across the state, it's not exclusive to Manatee County, is it makes the math progression a little bit fuzzier because we accelerate, but the state calls all the courses by grade. And then because you have different students testing above grade level, it makes grade level to grade level comparisons between districts and across the state very, very difficult. So that's just something to keep in mind. Almost like we've traditionally seen that our 8th grade math scores have seemed very, very low, but that's because all of our 8th graders who are proficient or taking algebra or geometry, we're basically seeing that multiplied across a number of grade levels now. And so that's the context. I just want to make sure, it's something we've worked with our principals on and working with our teachers on, just making sure that as we are testing our students above grade level in appropriate courses, that they view the data through that lens.
I want to make sure I understand. If you're taking Algebra 1 in 8th grade, what test are you taking?
You're actually not taking any of these tests, which makes it even more confusing. You're taking the Algebra EOC, and that doesn't have a PM1 or a PM2.
Okay.
So we use district progress monitors to help us chart those students' progress towards being successful, but they're not represented in this data.
Thank you.
Does the state have any guideline on, do they want 8th graders that are taking algebra to take the 8th grade fast? Like, do they?
The guidance that we've received is we've interacted through a number of professional development events, and with DOE have said that the expectation is that it's most appropriate for students to test at the grade level of the standards they're learning.
Okay.
So that's what we're following, and we see it in other districts, and we've seen other districts be very successful with this, and we know our students excel at math here in the school district of Manatee County. And to kind of contextualize this before we jump into kind of the rolled up data, which is kind of, again, difficult to parse because of all the above grade level testing, this is just those students broken out. And it kind of shows you how well equipped they are already to be successful in those courses. First of all, you can see that in something like our 5th grade accelerated classes, 50% of those students already demonstrated that they were on grade level with 6th grade content on PM1. So those students were extremely successful on that exam. And you can see that kind of across the board, in general, we have students equal to or are far above kind of their state peers, which represent both accelerated and non-accelerated students all mixed together across the state. But even kind of drilling back beyond that, you can see how many students we have on PM1 scoring in that level 2 group in the accelerated. That even represents students who are 70th percentile or higher, who are going to be very successful in these courses. And you can see how many of our students who weren't yet on grade level fell in that level 2 bucket. So this is a starting place. I mean, this is exciting to me. Even students who scored level 1, you know, we're looking at those students individually, but those were students that scored a high percentile rank on that first exam. This is above grade level content for them, and as they learn it throughout the year, we're going to see their growth just shoot off. So I'm looking forward to bringing this chart back to you on PM2 and seeing the growth of these accelerated students on this above grade level content. Yes, ma'am.
I had a question about the percentile rank.
Sure.
So if a student is in the accelerated and they're taking the 5th grade test in 4th grade or the 4th grade test in 3rd grade or whatever it is, their percentile ranking is all students that took that test.
Correct.
So it's not just whatever grade they're in the accelerated, but all the if they're in 3rd, it's all the 4th graders that also took that test.
So yes, like a 5th grader in taking 6th grade math is actually being compared to all 6th grades, all students taking that 6th grade assessment.
Which could be 5th graders or could be 6th graders.
It's going to be a majority of 6th graders with all your 5th grade accelerated kids thrown in who are taking that exam.
Okay.
So you're going to see, again, these students excelling with, you know, compared to older peers who are taking that exam.
Right.
And other accelerated students who are taking that exam. But you are correct. It's based on grade level, not on...
Based on whoever took the test.
Yes, based on whoever took the test.
Okay. Thanks.
Again, this is the math results for the whole cohort of students now. And again, from K2, this is the STAR data. So you're seeing STAR results consistent, little motion up and down between grade levels. It's exciting that we get this data to start the year. This is something that our K2 teachers have not had access to in the past. And again, you can see stable performance across the grade levels to start as a baseline. This is where the data becomes difficult to parse and do comparisons about, which is why we've kind of narrowed it down and not done a prior year comparison on this slide. I've added the note for anyone who views this deck after the fact that any of those comparisons aren't displayed because of that implementation of above grade level testing. When you view the data like this, it's just all these different groups of students rolled up into those different grade levels, and so it's difficult to compare. But again, you can see some of the impact on 4th and 5th because a lot of those students are taking higher level math exams. And again, you're going to see variance between district and charter schools, district operated and charter schools, in a lot of ways based on which schools are accelerating students, which schools are doing above grade level testing depending on the charter, et cetera. Again, you can see the impact of this 6 through 8 because some grades look better than other grades, but again, that's because of which grade levels you're testing on. So in 6th grade, you're going to have some of your 5 accelerated students factoring into that, whereas a lot of 6th and 7th students might be taking that 8th grade exam or beyond for algebra or geometry. So it's just difficult to make comparisons in math because of the state's commitment to math acceleration and our district's commitment to it.
It's so blended.
It is very blended across the grade
It's so
levels.
blended that is so difficult to measure when it's so blended like that.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
And that's why when, our teachers see kind of the big picture data, but what our teachers are doing every day in the classroom is focusing in on student by student, what those students need, grouping them, delivering interventions, we get amazing standards-based reports out of FAST now. So Mr. McCarthy creates really amazing dynamic Excel tables that show how our students are doing by standard, and then teachers can reteach on those standards. So we really, beside this rolled up data that we get some very granular student-by-student data that our teachers are using to actually move the needle every day for our students. And I think, honestly, that's the secret sauce for this first PM. It's not necessarily the big picture data, it's what we're doing instructionally in our classrooms to support students. And what we're doing every day to support students is listed on this slide, that focus on math, those high quality resources, professional learning through the math micro-credential through Lassinger, evidence-based intervention and core materials, using those DOE resources. If you ever walk into a math classroom in the school district of Manatee County and you see whiteboards kind of up all over the walls and students standing up doing math, that's one of our thinking classrooms in math, and that's an initiative we continue to expand. And then, of course, we're doing those K-12 instructional rounds to build our capacity as leaders throughout the district. And that's it. If you have any final questions or comments.
I get a just a simple question of when we are giving the test to the students, are they in their own normal classrooms with a laptop at their own normal desk, or are they going into a computer lab and kind of rotating in and out? I take mine from 8 to 9. Ms. Foreman takes her class 9 to 10, that sort of thing.
That's probably going to depend on the exam and on the grade level that it's being administered at, right? So different grade levels.
Yeah, so elementary almost need to come up.
You gotta come up.
At this point, since we have so many Chromebooks and laptops everywhere, elementary almost exclusively tests in their classroom. And in general, we push all of our schools to try to test with a familiar face, because you don't want a student going and testing with somebody they don't know at all. Middle schools also tend to be really classroom tested. They tend to test in a lot of their homerooms first thing in the morning. And then at high school, we still tend to do a little bit more of that pull out to kind of pre-set up areas where they can test large groups without disrupting the rest of campus, because we have 11th and 12th grade that aren't testing at the same time.
Okay. Thank you. And has there been any, with that many laptops on the network, et cetera, have we seen any dropping in the network? I just can imagine a kindergartner, second grader, first grader, it's spinning, the spinning death of,
Buffering.
the wheel of death. And you know what I mean? Like, have we experienced a whole lot of that?
This is, I think, a testament to both Mr. McCarthy and Mr. Hansen and his team in our information technology department. First of all, we kind of designed the testing calendar. There's makeup days, makeup windows. So, for instance, if there was a network outage that may not even be the school district of Manatee County's fault, right? It could be someone was doing construction and severed a fiber line or whatever. We're able to say, you know what, this isn't the optimal day to be doing testing, and we're going to reschedule it for another day. We have, like Mr. McCarthy said, a pretty robust technology infrastructure on our campuses. It's something our school administrators look at as they're preparing for testing, our testing coordinators. What is the capacity in different areas as far as those wireless access points go, as far as our bandwidth goes. And so in general, we have very few issues, I'd say, with the actual technology infrastructure that affects testing.
The other thing that, and I think Dr. Weissong and I talked about this at our walkthrough at Able, is it's great that we've got the Chromebooks, it's great that we have all these laptops, right? But I don't know what age to say this, and like give it an age of 10 years old and below or whatever, but the majority of our kids don't use a mouse or even a trackpad on the iPad. Like, it's touch, right? So we're already moving them to and using an object that they don't know how to use, or not. No, excuse me, not know how to use, are just they don't use it all the time, right? And the being comfortable with that item that you're using, I think is important. Have we thought about, is that an issue, like iPads? And I'm sure teachers are the ones, the boots on the ground, that could see if kids are interacting wrong with, they don't know how to use the trackpad and things like that. I mean, I don't know if that's even an issue. It may not be, because they're smarter than us when it comes to technology. So maybe they just don't even worry about it.
I mean, as a former classroom teacher who used to administer assessments, I would say that early on, and there's the content you're teaching students, but there's also the test and the test environment you're teaching students. So I would say our students are learning those skills as they go on too. And I think as you walk our classrooms and you see learning happening in our classrooms, you'll see teachers giving sample test items online in an online environment. Our writing test is administered online. And so I was at Palmetto Elementary the other day, and those 5th grade students had done all of this amazing annotation on paper and done a matrix to compare these different sources. And then they were typing their 5-paragraph essay into the computer so that they were building practice on typing, so that when they reach the end of the year, that's not it's a familiar experience. And so I would say
guess
early
that's part
on,
of the progress monitoring as well, is like the progress of learning to use the computer.
Absolutely.
Instead of going like this and slitting your sheet open, open up the SAT. So.
And as someone who administered AP and SAT tests, I can say that students also struggled with that as well.
Yeah. They don't know how to open up the sticky anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where's my face enabled deal? Okay, thank you very much. Board, any other questions, comments?
I just wanted to say, I'm glad that we're migrating into the best practice model of sharing what works at this school may work here, or what's not working. Let's go to a school to see how they're doing it. I've always been a huge person to say best practices. Doesn't matter what area of business you're in. It works everywhere. I want to say thank you to Mr. McCarthy for doing all of the, because I know how tedious that can be, looking at the screen and doing all the data, and even all the way down to what you said, granular to the student, to where the parent can even see. And I can't even imagine having a student in today's world. But like to your point, we are slowly migrating from the paper to the computer. I mean, kids are doing things that we never did when we were in school. I didn't anyway. But they are, when I walk through the schools, I'm amazed at how good kids can navigate with, and some of them I think do have a mouse, if I remember right. I think I saw a few, maybe not, but they do the finger touch pad, and they do a lot of the touching on the screen. So it's no different than trying to, some kindergartners come in or pre-Ks don't even know how to do the pencil. So imagine we're taking them from a pencil to a tablet. So I think it's a multifaceted approach that we have to take, and I'm just glad that we're able to capture the data, because I think in some testing environments, and I've been a testing proctor before, and we're in a confined space, and you have to do it this way. It's in a higher level, of course. But I don't know, are we testing students when they don't even realize they're being tested on a screen? It's a game. Okay, can you recognize this? Can you say this word, kind of thing? That's, to me, when you make testing fun, and all grade levels up until where we really have to start diving deep into your brain. But testing can be fun too. It's nothing to be afraid of. And that, I think, would be the best message to share with teachers. And from what I've seen, I haven't been in the classroom when they're being tested, but from what I could see, they make learning fun. And that's what it's about too. So anyway, thank you. And it's nice to actually see the face behind the name.
Thank you very much.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Great presentation.
All right, board, we're gonna take a quick 2-minute recess since we're an hour and 40 in. We'll be back at 6:50. All right, welcome back, and let's go ahead and jump into item number 11 on the agenda, the consent items, and Superintendent Weissong.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the consent agenda for the September 24th, 2024 school board meeting.
So moved.
I will second.
Sorry, we got a motion and a second, I believe, on the floor. I don't see it on Granicus. Maybe because I'm not in the right spot. There it goes. All right, there we go. Consent items. Let's go ahead and vote on the approval of the consent items.
I'm not getting it, so,
Are you a yay or a nay?
oh, I'm a yay.
Can you please vote for Ms. Foreman as a yes?
I have to go out.
Perfect. Thank you. I will take our time on the rest of the agenda as you log back into Granicus.
Okay.
Moving to item number 14.1, new business, non-consent items. You want to start us off, Dr. Weissong, with item 14.1?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of a new job description of high school student intern.
So moved.
I'll second.
Dr. Weissong, you want to inform the public? I know I'm excited about this. I'm sure other board members are as well. So,
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Board members, this job description provides us the vehicle, if you approve it, to hire our own high school students into paid internship roles to complete projects for the district. And this has been worked on for a long period of time just to make sure that we've taken care of all the details. The original use case for this was for MSTV, to perhaps employ some of our TV production students, and as you know, some of them hold professional industry certifications in their field, and to use them to assist our great MSTV team with some of their Game of the Week broadcasts and other of the special projects that they do for us. And as we talked as a leadership team, we see some other opportunities, particularly next summer, with the opening of the next two schools and the tight timeline that we're on to get that done, we may be able to use students to assist the IT department, the facilities department in getting those things open. So we see this as a great future opportunity to tap the talent of our own students when it's appropriate to do so.
thank you. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's something too from a career standpoint. You know, you've got a senior that jumps in and starts interning. You never know that it could become a career, and yeah, it's exciting. You told me about the speech yesterday. We were at the speech contest, and the teacher wanted to be, or the student wanted to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. We're like, intern, sign her up. Let's go. All right, thank you very much, Dr. Weissong. Any other board members? I don't see anyone lit to speak on this item, 14.1. So let's go ahead and vote on the approval of a new job description of high school student intern.
Okay, vote for me, please. That's a yes. And I'm gonna totally log out.
All right. Moving on to item 14.2, Dr. Weissong.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of Resolution 2024-011, authorizing a tax anticipation note, Series 2024, pursuant to Florida Statute 1011.13.
So moved.
I'll second.
If somebody else.
Yep, got it.
Okay,
Ms. Foreman, and then Ms. Messenger. And if we want to give it to Ms. Sellers, go ahead and explain again to the public. I know that we know, but, and Dr. Weissong, did you want to add anything before Ms. Sellers?
No, Ms. Sellers is the expert.
So this tax anticipation note is something that this district has issued for the last 15 years. It is designed to empower or authorize the school board to enter into a current loan to pay obligations to cover expenditures within the operating budget. This is the general fund, until the first property tax distribution is made. That is around the end of November, beginning of December. Now, in the past, the district has issued the tax anticipation note, and it's been, for the past few years, it has been a private placement with an institution that has put in a group of proposed bids. But this year, because of the good financial statement of the district and its credit ratings, the financial advisors and bond councils suggested that we pursue this public offering statement to go to a competitive bid instead. This will give us a lower borrowing rate for the year on this. So this resolution is designed to give delegate authority to the chair and the superintendent to be able to authorize us to go, or this particular tax anticipation note to go to sale for those notes. It is not to exceed $48 million, and the sale would be, the competitive sale would be October 9. The issuance is expected October 22. That's the anticipated issuance date. And the maturity date would be on or before February 27, 2025.
Thank you.
Yep.
You board members.
I just question on when you say you're putting that out to like a bid?
Right. So the private placement, you had financial institutions provide proposals, but this one you have financial institutions submitting to be able to sell these notes for the district, and they compete one another to give the lowest rate, and so it's designed to go with whoever provides the lowest net interest cost.
Right, right. So they're bidding for our business. Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, this is a good example of how far we have come in this district for financial stability. I mean, that 10 years ago, this, I think it was pulling strings to get somebody to lend us the money, I think. But, so this is just wonderful, and also the fact that we're borrowing less this year, which means that we have a higher cash to work with, of our own resources. So, two spots of really good news. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, so let's go ahead and vote on the approval of the resolution 2024-011, authorizing section 1011.13 Florida statutes tax anticipation note, series 2024, and that passes 5-0. Item number 14.3, Dr. Weissong.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the proposed opening plan for the East County K-8 school.
So moved.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Dr. Weissong, you want to explain the opening plan of the East County K-8?
Thank you, Chairman. Board members, you'll remember that on Friday, September 13th, that seems like so long ago, we, during your workshop, my team and I walked you through the plan to get the K-8 open. But again, just to recap, we are on schedule with construction to have the elementary school portion of the campus open for August of 25, and then the middle school portion of the campus will be completed for August of 2026. So the plan calls for us to populate grades K through 5 for August of 25, and then add grades 6 through 8 in August of 26. The key component to the plan is that we will not draw an attendance boundary or zone for August of 25, and that's because with the elementaries opening the following year in August of 26, anything we draw for 25 would have to be redrawn, and you risk having to have students move twice. So we will use what we call a voluntary reassignment plan to identify families who are currently in the Gullet zone and either attending Gullet or who this year were reassigned to Freedom, McNeil, or Braden River because Gullet was completely full. We will give those families who are in that bucket and who also are in geographic proximity to the K through 8 the opportunity to be reassigned there as a founding family for the 25-26 school year. And then from there, we anticipate an attendance zone being drawn during calendar year 25 to take effect in August of 2026. And so, Board, if you approve the plan as presented, we would begin that process in October with meetings for targeted families who are interested in learning more. Those meetings will be run by Principal Richardson and Director Clark from Office of Student Assignment, and our goal would be to wrap that process up by Thanksgiving and then turn to the staffing plan for the school so that we are totally ready to go for August of 25. And Board, just a reminder that part of the opening process, part of this approval is filing for a master school identification number with Florida DOE, and then the board still has to select a name for the K through 8. We are accepting nominations from the public through noon this Friday, September 27th, and then those names will be presented to the board at the October 8th meeting, at your October 8th meeting for further consideration. So no naming is part of this plan. That process is separate, and the board can make that decision either October 8th or October 22nd.
Thank you. I just want to say, first off, I know we did this 2 weeks ago, the workshop, but I want to commend you and the team. I think the plan for this and even the North County one, I think the plans are fantastic. I think you guys have thought every avenue out possible, and I commend you for that. I commend you for. We'll be tackling this here in the next several months. I know, but there needs to be some adjusting of lines and zones and things like that. It's never easy, but the plan that you guys have for this, I think is great. So we obviously have had some public comments the last 2 meetings about this naming of this school. Did you say it closes, you said Friday, the 27th at noon?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Friday the 27th at noon.
And then will we as a board get that information, and then obviously you'll present it on the 8th?
So our intention is to compile that list after the nominations close at noon on Friday the 27th. We will publish the complete list for the October 8th board meeting. So the list will be publicly available by 5 p.m. On Tuesday, October 1st. And then at the October 8th board meeting, that is the board's first opportunity to talk about the name. Board members, really at that point, it's your decision whether you want to select from the list that night or narrow the list down and put the narrowed list back out for probably 7 days of public comment. And then you could make a final decision at the October 22nd board meeting. And of course, we don't want to go past that because we need to order signage and start designing letterhead and all the fun things that go with opening a new school. So that's why we're on the timeline we're on.
That was my next question on the timeline. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
First of all, when you're talking about, when students are going to be there, that's less than a year away. August of 25, that's less than a year away. And I just wanted to make note that from the public commenters, all of them, I would encourage, if they want this school to be named after Miss Edwards, to put the name in on the system. Like I said, with naming a ball, was it a basketball court? I think it was. I'm just not in favor of naming after individuals. I'm just putting that out there right now, just because it's just my position. So although I understand this individual's a very stellar pillar of the community, actually, I probably would still be a no on that, but I encourage everyone to put their names in. I'm only one vote on this board. So, but yeah, I just wanted to point out that that's less than a year away of having students there. And I think that it's probably going to be more having to turn people away because everybody likes the new school. That's what I see happening, to be honest with you. So that's just a little bit I had on that particular item.
All right, thank you. And I found on the website, I found where to name the school pretty quick and easy right there.
Yeah,
So
it's easy.
I agree. Everybody who's public commented in the past couple meetings on the name, please go on there and express express your views inside so we can get that data in. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to, I don't see anybody else requested to speak. Let's go ahead and move on to vote on the approval of the proposed opening plan for East County K-8 school. And that passes 5-0. Moving on to item number 14.4, Dr. Weissong.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the proposed opening plan for the North County school site.
So moved.
A second.
You have a motion and a second. Dr. Weissong, you want to explain this opening plan as well?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. And again, as we discussed at the September 13th workshop, these schools are on parallel tracks for timeline and opening, but then the dimensions of the plan are different because there are just different variables at play. And so as a reminder, originally when this site was considered, it was viewed as a traditional middle school campus to relieve Buffalo Creek. However, relief of Harvey Elementary became the higher priority, and Mr. Rinaldi in a workshop prior to my arrival indicated that it might be necessary to use the middle school site temporarily for grades 4 and 5 at Harvey. Then we started working on that as a staff and landed on a slightly different concept of moving the 4th and 5th grade and then not having them come back. And from that, we have essentially a plan that proposes an expansion of Harvey Elementary through grade 8 with one school occupying 2 campuses. And so the proposal is for the 25-26 school year, and construction will be complete on the full campus by that point. We would open with students at grades 4, 5, and 6 in 25-26, again, not drawing an attendance boundary for the same reason, because we have to address that for 26-27 because of the opening of the additional elementary schools. We would then add either grade 7 or grade 7 and 8 in the 26-27 school year after an attendance boundary has been drawn and that would be effective for 26-27. The plan calls for all current Harvey Elementary 3rd and 4th grade students then to move to the new campus to be 4th and 5th graders and to do a limited 6th grade. And by limited, we mean that some 5th graders will be able to move to the upper camp or to the new campus for 25-26. That will also use a voluntary reassignment plan, so families currently at Harvey for grade 5 or at Mills right now, because they were reassigned due to being out of space at Harvey, would be able to apply, and will use a combination of geographic proximity to the new campus, a sibling preference related to having a sibling in grades 4 or 5 there next year, to identify those families, any remaining seats to be selected by random draw. So again, all of that is permitted in policy 5120. So board members, if you approve the plan tonight, in a similar process to the East K-8, we would convene information meetings for those families that are potentially impacted. We would hold those meetings in October, accept applications for voluntary reassignment with a goal of completing that process by Thanksgiving break. And again, that then allows us to build out the staffing plan. Again, a very important part of this plan is that because we're only opening grade 6, it will be a limited middle school staffing, which means that there will be limited electives in 25-26. And so that'll be one of the key messaging points to families making a decision about whether to go on to wherever their assigned middle school is, or to apply for the voluntary reassignment opportunity. And again, we hope to get all of that done in October and November so that we can build an accurate staffing plan and start that hiring process. Again, the naming piece is not part of the opening plan. We did briefly discuss that. So currently, if the board approves the plan, we would apply to DOE for the update of the master school identification file to show Harvey K-8, but the board has certainly naming options available. One final point, and this applies to both of these new school sites. In addition to the naming webpage for the K-8 that the chairman mentioned, there is a new schools information page which summarizes all of the information about both schools from the workshop, and then there is a Let's Talk tab there so that families can submit questions if they have them, and then we've been routing those to the appropriate department, because again, there are 4 or 5 different departments involved in this process. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so real quick, I have a question for the superintendent and also for the board. So for the naming of the school, the Barbara Harvey K-8, we talked to some people in the public, etc. Been some sentiment about maybe making it at North River Ranch because of the location, kind of like a Terra Elementary, things like that. Is that something that has to be done for the MSID to move forward?
So we need to submit to DOE whatever the official name of the overall school will be. So if you want to formally change the name or add to the name, then I think that falls under the board's facility naming policy, which just says that's for the board, not the staff. If you take no action but direct us to update the MSID file, we would just simply indicate Barbara Harvey K-8. Again, as we discussed in the workshop, you have multiple options. You can certainly name at the school level. You can also add names to each campus, because we do have 2. Right, we'll have a K-3 campus and a 4-8 campus, so you can attach names to each campus if you'd like to do that. Again, that's really the board's prerogative. As I explained at the workshop, we did not open the process for public comment or public submission because I didn't want to get ahead of the board. But if you want to go through a process, the policy actually doesn't require input piece in terms of public nominations. So either the board can take action, or we can open up a public comment, or really whatever the board's prerogative.
Okay, thank you. I like to see what the board's comments are about potentially saying Barbara Harvey K8 at North River Ranch. And before making any kind of motion to do anything, see if there's any kind of thoughts from board members, and go from there.
I just want to make it clear, so it would be the Barbara Harvey K8 at River Ranch Upper School. The Barbara Harvey at River Ranch, I'm losing my train of thought here, there's too much. Barbara Harvey
For each
K8.
campus. For each campus.
Yeah, so you would have that name. We're adding River Ranch and the upper camp, as we discussed, the upper campus, or the upper school and the lower school. So that's an awful lot.
Okay, good thoughts.
So that's what it would be, Barbara Harvey K, like what would it look like on the app? Barbara Harvey K through 8 upper campus at North River Ranch? Is that how it would, is that how it would read, or?
I don't know how the MSID looks.
Again, we're talking about with regards to the MSID file, you're talking about an overall name for the school.
Okay.
So and again, that's we'll input whatever the board directs. And so you could do it that way. You could just call it that, and just have one overall name for the school, and then that's going to be on the signage for both campuses if that's the overall name of the school. If you want to attach a name to each campus, then that's just signage, right? The overall name could simply be Barbara Harvey K through 8, or again, whatever you direct us to put into the system.
I mean, I'm okay with Barbara Harvey K through 8 at North River Ranch. It's fine with me, as the name that would go on the.
Real quick, on what you just said though, when you do name the two campuses, that does not have to be on the MSID.
Correct, in the same way that
maybe north, south, east, whatever we wanted to call it.
In the same way that you can name a football stadium, a field, because your overall name is covering the full K through 8 school.
Ms. Bright, hold on, I'll come right back.
Right, okay. I don't necessarily think we need campus in the name, as you indicated. I think yours is two different sites. So it's K through 3 at one site, is that correct? And then we're going 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 at the second site, am I correct?
That's what the opening plan calls for, keeping in mind, and we talked about this at the workshop as well, because the staff's position is this is one school on 2 sites,
right,
with the same leadership team, the same attendance boundary, the same instructional themes, the same mascot and colors, right? And so, as demographic trends change over time, you could see grade levels on the move between the two campuses, right? So we're going to open as a K through 3 and a 4 through 8, but someday it might be K through 4 and 5 through 8.
Right.
It just depends on, it could someday end up being a K through 5 and a 6 through 8, which is a little more traditional. It just depends on the growth and the needs of the community.
I'm not sold on the K through 8 thing. I know we have to list it as a K through 8, but I wouldn't want that on the sign necessarily. I think having, you already have Barbara Harvey Elementary, correct? That's what's out there right now. To me, the second campus that we're doing could just be Barbara Harvey at North River Ranch. I don't see why we have to do K through 8 anywhere, to be honest with you, other than the legal side of things. I just think this would be more definitive of its location, and it would separate out the two. That way you're not putting K through 3 at one school and 4 through 8 at another, where you just indicated it could be a blend later of putting K through 4 at one campus and 5 through 8 at the next campus. So I don't think it's necessarily needs to have K through 8 on signs or anything like that. We already know what the grades are. I just think that separating the two campuses, I don't like lower, upper, or that kind of thing. I like the Barbara Harvey at North River Ranch. It kind of blends in with the community anyway. And that's where I would go with it.
Not include the K-8.
No.
So my question
No.
is, do we have to have the K-8 in there? I think we have to express what type of, it's got to be the elementary or middle or K-8.
Right, so
or high school.
Again, right now it's Barbara Harvey Elementary, which traditionally implies K through 5 or some grades in that span. And so when you add a middle school component, you have a K through 8. And so that's the, that's the thought of calling it what we're trying to create. Again, one school on 2 sites.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, yes, we have, the K through 8 distinguishes what is special about this school, is that a family can put their child in here in kindergarten and they will go all the way through 8th grade. So that K through 8 is very important. The second is the confusion. The identity of 2 facilities at different locations, you've got to be able to identify. Is it the North Campus? Is it the South Campus? Is it the upper school? Is it the lower school? Because otherwise people are going to, where do you go to school? My kids go to Barbara Harvey. Which one?
At North River Ranch.
Well, there's going to be 2 of them. And the North River Ranch, is nowhere near the size or scope of Lakewood Ranch. And Lakewood Ranch, actually, they didn't name it after an individual, they just named it Lakewood Ranch High School and Lakewood Ranch Charter School. So if we want North River Ranch on there, maybe we should just get rid of Barbara Harvey's name. That'll make it a whole lot easier. I am joking, but I'm trying to make a point here that we were all approached by someone from North River Ranch asking how we would feel about this. And I said, and for these reasons, I said I was against it. Said the happy thing is that I will be gone in November, so maybe you're better off putting that out there, to the board after I'm off. But I think it's an ego thing. It's the public, let's face it, the developers are not getting a lot of love these days, okay? So if you're going to do something like this, you've got to let the public weigh in on it. We're just popping this in tonight. We don't have a motion. It wasn't on the agenda. So it would be totally a railroad to vote on it tonight. Okay? So I am totally, totally against it. It confuses, it denigrates Barbara Harvey. Sorry, Mrs. Harvey. I was only joking, but it just makes the name actually impossible to work with. And I think we also need the opinion of Mr. Richardson. He's the principal. He's Dr. Richardson.
Rio.
Okay, Dr. Rio, and have I got the schools mixed up?
Richardson, East County.
Okay, all right.
It's okay.
Okay.
Ours.
Okay, but we would need the opinion of the people who have been working on designing this thing. So if you'd want to postpone it, postpone this, make a motion to table it, fine, I would support that, but no, I won't vote on it tonight.
Ms. Messenger?
So I have a lot of things to say. I feel like I've been through this before. Number one, but really, my first thing I would like for this board to consider is just the nomenclature that this school district and this board has historically used when naming schools, because that is something that this board's going to need to consider when naming any school in the future. And we don't have any name of any school set up in this same format. We don't have any school that's a person's name at a location. That's just not ever been a construct that this board has ever entertained. Mostly because in the past, when that has been suggested, because it's been suggested before to put North River Ranch in lots of titles of things, that we as a board have always felt that made it too wordy and confusing. A lot of what's already been said. I've also been through this where something was named North River and Parrish got incredibly upset. So I'd love to know what community members are espousing this to you. You can provide me a list. I'd love that. But in general, the feedback I have always received is the words North River are pretty insulting to the majority of people that live in Parrish, because if you look at a map, there's not much river left by the time you get to Parrish. That the North River Fire District is in Palmetto, not Parrish, because generally that is where the river is. And so I just think this is a mistake to do this for a whole lot of reasons. I also think it would behoove this board to have K-8 in the title, because that is a huge selling feature to families. That's a huge, like, even my own daughter who's in 4th grade, she wants to go to a K-8 for the exact same thing. Like, she wants to be in school longer with her younger sister, surprisingly. So it's a selling feature. It would be a mistake to not put that in. Plus, it signals to the community our intention is this is one school, just in 2 locations. Whether we call it north and south, if we don't like upper and lower. I don't really love upper and lower either. But I think there's a lot of ways you can make it north and south or other things like that, because they are pretty, but to name it or add to it after this board has already said, no, we recognize this is one school. It is going to be a K-8. That is our intention. If that's really what this board wants to do, then I'm with Mrs. Foreman, and you table this and you put it out for the public to give feedback, because it's wrong to do that tonight. That is not what this board said they were going to do. If that's really what you want, then you put that out there and you hear what the community really says about that. We can rent out the convention center again if you'd like, because I've lived through that one as well. Hundreds of people showed up because they didn't want North River in the title of the school. So I would like to move forward with what's in front of us, because I believe that's the right course of action for the community. Naming it Barbara Harvey K-8 signals this is one school. It signals we have this great reputation at this school and we're going to continue it on and build on that legacy. It signals that we are going to make this one community. That's what this signals. It does not signal, I won't go into that. It also does not move into something that's off of our traditional nomenclature. Like I said, like this is not, to do that would be something very different than what we've done before. Not opposed to doing something different, but it's important that we signal to the community the purpose of the school and keep that legacy that's already there. You know, it's either you table it or we vote for what's on this, but I could not be in favor of adding anything or changing anything tonight. And I think that's a mistake, and it's just so dishonest to the community.
I don't think we can we, if it wasn't on the agenda?
I'm sure you could amend it and try.
And typically, if we amend the agenda, we've already approved the agenda.
There's no name inside of this opening plan now anyways.
That's
Even-
not
even
true.
if-
It is. It absolutely is. It says you're going to put the MSID as Harvey Elementary. It's going to
But it's
amend
not
that.
Harvey Elementary. It's going to move to
Yeah, it says-
Harvey K through 8, but it doesn't say we're going to actually do K through 8.
Don't parse words. I mean,
It makes it clear it's going to be amended.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, of course.
the gist of it is that, yes, you would be amending, changing something that we've already discussed. And if you try to put it up for vote tonight,
Go ahead.
It'll be bad.
Mr. Dye, go ahead.
Surely legally, I think you could vote for a name, just because it's, you could say it's part of the opening, but I think it's better form if something that important is a agenda item. So that would be the recommendation, that it's on the agenda. But legally, I think it could get voted on. It wouldn't be illegal if you voted it.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Can I ask Superintendent if and when, I guess, the two campuses are somehow labeled? Is that something that you feel from your staff you guys want to do and bring to us, or us do in a meeting, et cetera, down the road? And I say that in prefacing that if Barbara Harvey K through 8 is the entire, both campuses combined, does North River Ranch be the north one? And whatever the name is, can we incorporate that campus being called North River Ranch? Because it's going to be sitting right smack in the middle of North River Ranch. Is that something that you need from us ever? Or is that something that your staff would go with and names would do whatever?
So the item tonight is to approve the opening plan. And again, the reason for bringing that really is so that we can get going on the voluntary reassignment part. The K-8 naming, of course, again, we've planned all along for that to happen as late as the October 22nd board meeting. So one option is to continue with this item, and then if board members want to continue to discuss the naming of the overall school, the naming of the campus, that can certainly be scheduled for the next board meeting, and we can get going on the other parts of the voluntary reassignment plan. If you want to take the entire item and table it and bring it back October 8 and keep talking about the name, the only challenge is that I can't really start the process of meeting with those rising sixth grade families about their options. So we're just kind of constraining the timeline on that part of the plan. And it started right up against the other school choice window, which is a little problematic. So that's really the purpose tonight. But again, I also think, as with any facility naming, that can come up at any time. Because we've done those regularly in terms of specific parts of a campus. I know this is a little bit different, but I don't know if that answered your question, Chairman. But the reason this is coming tonight is really so that we can get all of this going. If the board needs more time to talk about naming, that's not a problem.
We have a policy on naming, so if we name the new building even though it's Barbara Harvey K through 8 River Ranch, we're naming it, so we've got to follow policy. We got to put it out there for the public to weigh in on and give it a period of time. You know, you're talking about doing this changing.
I don't think that's true. We don't legally have to follow that policy, right? That's my understanding of the naming policy. If we want to, here's the policy, but we can just vote and call it
Guys,
whatever
you
we
guys are
want.
being so disgusting. I'm sorry.
Well, no.
You know, it really is.
I'm asking about the legal aspects of what you just said, because what you just said is not legally true.
Okay, fine.
I think, and that's what I'm asking our
We
legal
have a
counsel for.
policy, and usually we like to follow our policies.
So, Chair, it's a confusing policy. I just re-reviewed it right now. The board does have the power to name a school without putting it out to the public. The putting it out to the public's mandatory for when you're doing a part of a property, when you're naming like a building or a field. There's a process for that, but the board does have the ability to name an entire school just through board action. It's written where and the superintendent probably won't like me pointing this out, but it's written where it says the superintendent shall submit proposed names to the board, and then the board decides. But anyway, for naming an entire school, the board can do it without putting it out to the public, but certainly the board can put it out to the public, like is being suggested.
Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
If this were to be added on, would that constitute as a renaming? Because then that's a 6-month wait. If you're adding new words onto the title of a school, does that count as renaming the school? Because that is a 6-month wait.
Can you, Ms. Messenger, tell me where you're
Yeah, I'll find it.
citing this?
It's right here.
Okay.
While they're looking, if I could, during the workshop, I remember saying, I don't want Campus 1, Campus 2, lower, upper. It needs to have a definitive name to it, to me. I mean, the other campus is in the original. I mean, first of all, Miss Harvey's gonna have 2 sites with her name on it. I'm just trying to be more descriptive of where those 2 sites are. And the other site is at Copper something, I don't know. But it's still gonna be the K through 8 at North River, at Copper, whatever. I don't know if it needs to be legally in the description or just on the concrete sign at the school. I don't know that. But to me, there needs to be a definitive description of each campus. And that's why I'm more in favor of doing at North River Ranch, because it's giving that definitive location. To your point, it's in the middle of North River Ranch. Who knows when a river might pop up through there and extend out, you don't know. That's a joke, people. Anyway, I'm just trying to
appease somebody.
No,
I'll call a spade on that. You're trying to appease somebody.
Go ahead.
And
Go ahead. I mentioned before in the workshop that, well, Lakewood Ranch was named after Lakewood Ranch because of the area it was built in. Southeast used to be Southeast Manatee County. Now it's Central. This is just North River. Call it North River Ranch. That's where I'm landing. I don't know if we need to table this, if we're gonna have such a dispute over it. I don't know where the rest of the board members, I think we have probably 3 votes to do it. That's where I am with it. I don't think really a whole lot of people, I don't know. Legally, I think that we could probably just add on at North River Ranch for this particular campus.
I think then we need to take Barbara Harvey's name off of it.
I would not disgrace Barbara Harvey by doing that.
Well, then, I think you're disgracing her by putting North River Ranch on there.
It's underneath the at.
How about, how about we take
Hold on,
time
hold
and
on.
ask Barbara Harvey?
Miss Foreman Holman, we got legals.
All right. That was a great and interesting point Ms. Messenger made.
Offices of Dye, Henley, and Messenger.
The firm is back.
Back.
All right. Because we've been talking about keeping Barbara Harvey, it didn't occur to me, but if you change the name of the existing elementary school at all, I think it does trigger the 6-month wait on it. Because it says it's permanent.
So if it's changed,
but you
to
could name
Barbara Harvey K-8, and that school is no longer elementary anymore, it's a 6-month window.
That's what it says.
Okay.
And I didn't.
So we're gonna have to do it regardless.
I've never liked this policy, but the
Give that to Mr. Chapman as the next one to look at.
but you can name the new school
Right.
without waiting.
Right, but the entire reason to have it K-8 was to keep it under one MSID as one school rather than having 2 campuses, so that we can have not just 6 through 8 on a campus.
Correct, and I guess I viewed it as, to me, the word elementary is a classification of grade span. Just as middle is as high as junior high, right? Once signified 7 through 9, as middle school signifies 6 through 8. So I didn't view the change in the classification as a name change, but obviously I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah. Well,
Since we
I was just going to say, can I add
I can
something?
see that argument, Dr. Weissong.
My point is not the K-8. My point is to add anything additional to that.
I know.
If you're just maintaining the name Harvey and expanding the school, I don't see how that is a name change. But when you add additional words onto that, that is a significant name change. That's my argument. To me, keeping the name, whether it's elementary or K-8, that I don't see that as a name change. But I think if you add a location,
I'll just go legal.
No, I would agree with that. If you left it Barbara Harvey,
law office of Dye, Penley, Messenger.
all you're doing is changing it from elementary to K-8. I don't think that's a meaningful change.
Thank you.
Okay.
But if you start adding at North River Ranch and all that, I think that definitely.
So from a legal standpoint as well, is that policy the same when you're going to name the campus? I mean, this is the first time we've ever had two campuses separate, right? So there is going to have to be something, how we do the campuses, north, south, upper, lower, whatever you name them. Does that fall under that same policy? And the reason why I say that is because then we need to put that out for 6 months from now. And I know, but as we open up the school, that has to be, if that's the policy we're following, then I don't agree with changing and waiting 6 months, because I do think that changes the game. That makes it till March, April, May, etc. But my question is, if we're going to name campuses, do we have to do something 6 month, or is that something we can do immediately because it's not a school ID, it's a campus?
I think you can name both campuses, Barbara Harvey, K-8. Dr. Weissong earlier said you can, for almost directional purposes, name the two separate campuses, something that tells the public where they are.
Gotcha.
I mean, I think of back when Manatee High was North Campus and South Campus.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, so that wasn't two schools, it was one school, but you knew what building to go to, right? So as long as you're not substantially changing and it's a more of a directional, informational, I don't think that would have to go through this process.
Thank
So-
you.
so-
That's
so-
exactly, thank you for picking out my brain, because that's exactly what my whole point is directional, not legal. Everything has to be legal, and it's gonna be Barbara Harvey K through 8. But on the signage at this location, it would say at this, and the other one, it would say at this.
You're
Board of
talking about naming the campuses.
Yes, the
North River Ranch.
campuses only, not the
South
school.
That's not directional. Directions are north, south, east, and west. And you could name one north campus and one south campus. They're 2 miles apart, but they really are north and south of each other. I mean, like, I don't really think we need to get into this debate. It sounds like, in general, we agree with Barbara Harvey, K to 8. If you really want to add the other words, you can trigger that 6-month wait. But it sounds like at least we agree on that. And the discussion about the campus names, that seems like that can arrive later. The whole point of this is to get this going so that we can notify families so that we can move forward.
Oh, I thought you had something. No. No, I agree. I did not know about the 6-month rule, so I'm glad that was pointed out. I don't think it's worth us waiting for 6 months. I think we can name the campuses what we want. North River Ranch, the north one, the south one, do it whatever we want. But I'm not willing to wait 6 months to go through DOE, and then on waiting the 6 months, and then on top of that, having to apply for the MSID, etc. I don't think that's right.
I'm fine with naming the campuses later. I wouldn't hold this up over this. But I think that we do need to name each individual campus as a tagline, not a legal name, just a tagline.
Sure, I understand what you're saying.
Okay,
Like a North Cal, like
right,
Mr. Dye's example.
right.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second.
I actually had.
Okay. I did not see your thing. I'm sorry.
So I just would like to make a few comments and just bring some clarity and transparency of what's going on here. So during the last week or so, a representative from the Neal community who is building the North River Ranch community contacted me and said, would you be in favor of adding this to the school name? And I thought about it for a while and I said, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I've toured the community. I've been given a visit up there by Mr. John Neal, who's building the community. I think they're very proud of the community, and I think that they would. He's not asking to have the Neal name, you know, Barbara Harvey built by Neal Communities or something. He's just very proud of the nice neighborhood that they've made, and it is beautiful, and they have lots of nice amenities. That lots of the children who are going to go to that school will actually be living in the houses that were built by the Neal community, and I thought they would just like to have some recognition that, hey, you know, this is our community, it's our community school. So that's what's going on here. It does become frustrating. Is that the right word? Frustrating is the right word I'm looking for. Hurtful is also another word. That's maybe a strong word, but the insinuation that there's something nefarious going on behind the scenes here, that what we're doing tonight is quote unquote disgusting, that, you know, remember that we can only talk about this in these meetings, right? We have to have this type of discussion if something comes up from the community. I can't call the rest of you up and go, hey, what do you think about that? Is that a good idea? Unfortunately, we have to have it. It's not even unfortunate. I'm just saying that that's how it has to happen. So I would encourage us to not just assume there's nefarious things going on, that builders and developers are trying to get their way with what they want. You know, I know they've taken a lot of beatings in the past year, but when they are actually just trying to build a nice community and have some recognition for the fact that they have the school in their community and they're proud of it, I don't think we need to go down that road of insinuating that there's nefarious things going on and we're trying to appease people, because that's not what is going on at all. I'm considering a request from a member of the community just like I would consider any other request from a member of the community. And I'm glad that we had this discussion tonight. For instance, based on what you might call corporate knowledge that Ms. Messenger has, I didn't know a lot about past efforts apparently to use the name North River Ranch for other schools or North River to other schools. Apparently there's a lot of community angst about using that name, but it doesn't, but you know, when we talk about those things, you could just say, well, this is something we'd like to consider because this has come up before, and it doesn't have to be done with such vehemence and anger, I guess, because it just sets a bad tone for us to try to get through this. So all that being said, thank you for letting me do a little quasi-sermon there, is that I would just want to, you know, I would like to move forward with what we have tonight, and then maybe we have a workshop item when we talk about this, right, so that we can get some more information, and maybe I could go a little deeper with Ms. Messenger about, well, what is the angst from the community that's there? So, I mean, I'm ready to move forward with this. My recommendation is that we make a workshop item out of naming the campuses, but that we just move forward tonight with what we have so we can get Dr. Weissong moving forward with what he needs to do. And that's all I had to say about that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, there was no motion to do anything other than, actually, I think we broke Rob. I don't even think there was a motion to begin with. I don't have it on my screen.
I don't think there was.
Yeah.
Well, no, we were in discussion all that time. You know,
There's a motion in a
You
second.
should have made the motion.
I know, and
I thought there was, right?
Yeah,
I just don't
can't
see it.
discuss unless you have a
Yeah,
motion.
yeah, I
Right,
just
there
don't
was
see it on
a
my.
motion and a second, and we had that already, so this is just a discussion period, and and all this time, my whole intent was location and on a sign, not the legal name. We know what the legal name is going to be, so we can move forward with the project. But I, again, would ask that this go on a workshop, that we are able to get a consensus of how to name the two separate campuses. Because if you tell a student or a parent, oh, you're gonna go to Barbara Harvey, end of story. I mean, what? There's two. Which one? So that to me is gonna be the question moving forward with the public. I had a conversation with more than just a builder. I had asked people out that way. What do you think? What do you think? I mean, I even discussed the future school out by the track, you know, with people out in that region. So there's a lot of name floating going on that's not been brought to us in an official capacity. But to me, this was just a little no-brainer, just to identify which campus it was. To me, it was always going to be Barbara Harvey. It sounds to me like the legal path is to add the K through 8, change it from elementary to K through 8. Am I correct in that? So we didn't advertise to change a legal name from elementary to K through 8. And by all accounts, it says if we ever change a name, that's all we have to do. But we all agreed that it would be Barbara Harvey, K through 8, at a workshop. We didn't put it out a bid for 6 months and all of that. So we had that consensus. This, I think we do need out of a workshop, Chair, if you would, please, so we can at least get some clarity on the two different campuses for not only the board here, future board, future community members of that region.
I'm not sure that we need a workshop, because I think we've all expressed our opinions here pretty strongly. And, yeah, no, I was not insinuating anything. I was saying it. You know, I mean, there's, you know, so yes, there's, in my opinion, there is something nefarious about it. But what we need to do, though, is we need the public's input. We need an agenda item. We need the public to come and tell us what they think of this.
That's why I suggested a workshop.
Well, they don't come in a workshop, and workshops are during the day.
We could discuss the rest of it at another time.
Yeah, no, I'm not insinuating or hinting at anything, so.
She's accusing.
Yes, I am.
She's not hinting, she's
Well,
accusing.
it's okay.
It's good to be direct and forthright, nothing wrong with that. At least we know where everybody stands. That's good.
All
right.
So we have a motion in a second. I don't see anyone else. Nobody's using Granicus.
I'm on here.
I don't see anyone else lit up. So let's go ahead and vote on the approval of the opening plan for the North County school site. What? I read it right.
Yeah, I'm just,
North County school site.
Yeah, that is what it says.
I know, but just all that discussion.
And it passes 5-0.
There you go.
Moving on to Dr. Weissong, item number 14.5.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the ratified Manatee Education Association collective bargaining agreement with the School District of Manatee County.
So moved.
A second.
I don't know how much you want to get into this, Dr. Weissong, but
I'll just provide a brief summary. We have successfully concluded annual collective bargaining with Manatee Education Association. The two teams were able to reach agreement, and then the terms of that agreement have been ratified by the membership of MEA. And so we bring this item that, if approved by the board, updates the contract language, the MOUs that have been signed, and I just want to publicly thank the two lead negotiators for the district. That's Dr. Bill Vogel, retired superintendent, and for MEA, Mr. Bruce Proud. Dr. Vogel and Mr. Proud and their respective teams worked very hard on an agreement that tackles some challenging structural issues, and they came up with, from my perspective, very collaborative, very creative solutions. And so we're excited to move forward, if approved by the board, in preparation for implementing the contract. We have already had a multi-department planning meeting, and I want to thank Mrs. Barber, the president of MEA, for attending that meeting, because when we can identify all the potential challenges to implementation and think about all the different employee groups, it tends to go better. So again, it's been a productive process, and I thank both sides for getting to this point.
thank you.
I just have a quick.
Yeah.
So nothing changed from the last conversation that we had a couple of days ago, I think it was. So it's basically the same of what we've already workshopped.
It's the agreement that was reached, I think, was, I don't know that we workshopped the collective bargaining agreement. There was a release that both Ms. Barber and I agreed to the language on, that was sent out to employees and to the board. And so those, that describes the terms and conditions, or summarizes it. And then, of course, the actual language changes are in the documents that are being approved tonight. But nothing has changed since the evening that there was a tentative agreement by both sides.
Right. Okay, that was basically my question. Thank you.
See no other board members are lit up?
I'm going to comment.
I'm not.
I'm particularly happy this time with this agreement, because we have been talking, the legislature, when they passed so that all the new school teachers get a bump up to, we have to pay them $47.5 at that time, and it's gone up. When they did that, new teachers, their salaries went up. Experienced teachers, theirs didn't. Well, just a tiny bit. So it was really difficult for our teachers, a true demotivator. They were, is that a word? I don't know. But anyway, that they were making almost as, that the new teachers were making almost as much as they were. And so we have talked about it and commiserated, and I think this time around, we took it very seriously and took the first step to trying to make it more equitable. And so so I'm just really pleased that this is my last collective bargaining session that it was a good step. So I thank everybody who was involved.
Yeah, I can't see who's requesting to speak. I'm sorry, so it doesn't show up on my thing. So, yeah, thank you to the staff. Did a great job, and kept us in the loop all the way, and so really appreciate it. All right, so let's go ahead and vote on the approval of the ratified Manatee Education Association collective bargaining agreement for the school district of Manatee County. Passes 5-0. Dr. Weissong, 14.6.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the 2024-25 Florida Department of Education classroom teacher and other instructional personnel salary increase allocation plan.
So moved.
I'll second.
Dr. Weissong, you want to explain what this is?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. This is part 2 of this process. We are required to report to the Department of Education by September 30th the outcome of the collective bargaining effort. And in our case, since we have now an approved agreement, we'll be able to report success and describe how that specific allocation, the salary increase allocation, is being divided in compliance with Florida law. So essentially, a yes vote here authorizes my team and I to finish that document and get it submitted on time so that we have met the requirements.
Thank you. All right, no board members are lit up to speak, so let's go ahead and vote on the approval of the 24-25 classroom teacher and other instructional personnel salary increase allocation plan. And that passes 5-0. Item 14.7, Dr. Weissong.
And this is the last part of the process. I recommend approval of the 2024-25 salary schedules for 11-month grandfathered teachers, 10-month grandfathered teachers, 10 and 11-month performance teachers, paraprofessionals, and the MEA salary supplement schedule.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. I don't see any board members lit up to speak. Let's go ahead and vote on the approval of the 2024-2025 salary schedules for the mentioned sections in the MEA. That passes 5-0. Thank you, Dr. Weissong. No new business with no superintendent recommendation, so we're going to skip to our updates for this evening. Instructional update. Mr. Jensen, I know you've given a lot, so I don't know how much more you have to give.
The PM1 data presentation was my primary update. I just want to thank those involved at last night's post-secondary education night we hosted at MTC. We had an absolutely wonderful event where more than 70 post-secondary institutions and organizations with colleges, universities, military branches were set up, and we had hundreds of students and parents show up to engage with those organizations and have their questions answered. So I want to thank Erin Chapman, our Advanced Studies Curriculum Coordinator, who organized the event, and our curriculum team led by Allison Nichols and Tiffany Spradling, as well as Mr. Wagner and Dr. Gansimer for hosting us at MTC. And finally, as part of our personal finance textbook adoption update, there was a committee meeting that was scheduled to take place tomorrow for the selection of finalist materials. With the approaching storm and out of an abundance of caution, we're going to be rescheduling that meeting and noticing it. So we'll just be rescheduling that, and those involved have been reached out to, and we've submitted the appropriate cancellation. So we'll be posting updates on the district update and on the website, and I'll be updating you as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Operations, Mr. Rinaldi.
Good evening, Chairman Choate, board members, Dr. Weissong. Quick update, human resources. The last job fair that we had for operations was on September 19th. We had open positions for bus drivers, bus aides, cafeteria managers, food service workers, custodians. There were 142 attendees. Job offers were given to 3 custodians At that point, all of our custodial positions are filled. 9 food service workers received offers. We had 3 bus attendants, and we had 9 bus drivers that are starting the permitting process and the training process for their CDL. So it was a very successful event. The next parent and teacher job fair that it was scheduled for Thursday, but it will be postponed due to the storm. Makeup date will be identified, and it'll be within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll be getting that information out as soon as possible. The next operational job fair is scheduled for Thursday, October 17th, from 9 o'clock to noon at the Wakeland Support Center. Transportation, the CDL testing team attended the statewide meeting for the updated CDL testing standards. Manatee Transportation was a little bit ahead of the curve. We're 100% compliant presently with all the new standards, and it's actually before many of the other counties as well as the private trucking agencies. So our CDL training program is up and running and is very active. Transportation is preparing a week of activities for National Bus Safety Week that's observed the week of October 21st. Activities will include an obstacle course for the bus drivers and for any board member who wishes to volunteer. In addition to that, there's securing of wheelchairs with the bus aids. They actually have a competition and timing for that. And so, in addition, we're doing a poster contest in the schools as well. So it's going to touch everybody. Transportation will be moving forward with a pilot program for the school bus arm for the cameras. They've identified 2 vendors or multiple vendors that they've been evaluating, so we'll be starting that and rolling that out shortly as well. And finally, just so you know, transportation is expecting delivery of 7 new buses in October. We've ordered an additional 10 that will be coming next October. These buses will come with enhanced safety features such as integrated car seats for the pre-K on all 17 buses, and LED lighted school bus signage and fully illuminated stop arms as well. So we're going to have 17 of those in our fleet over the next year. And finally, food and nutrition services. They're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, and the cafeteria is on October 3rd. The fruit of the day will be mangoes, and churros will be served as a special treat. Cafeterias will be decorated with posters recognizing historically significant Hispanic figures. In the consent agenda today, there were 2 items that are critical to the operations department. First, Williams Elementary School, the 8 classroom addition. You approved Gilbane Building Company to come on board as our construction manager. So they're doing the initial phases of that work. And Frontline Technology Group was also on there, and we're utilizing their location analytics software. That's the software that we will be using in order to do the rezoning as well. So those are 2 big items for the operations group. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions.
Yep.
So how many qualified bus drivers do we currently have, Mr. Naughty?
Right now, we're at, I believe, 92.
Okay.
So
how many in the pipeline, training pipeline?
Yeah, we've got, I believe, 2 in the pipeline, and then these 9 we're trying to get them into the pipeline, get them permitted.
And then mechanics, remind me again of how many we
Yeah, we remain at 10 mechanics. We have 8 open positions. We have hired 2 since July, and we're still outsourcing 2 mechanics as well. But we're keeping up with the monthly inspections that need to be done on the yellow fleet.
'Cause that was much. We were down to like 4 last spring or something, weren't we, for a while?
We gained 2 over the summer, and we're hoping to continue that trend.
Okay. And while I'm talking about it, so we're going to obviously open these 2 schools next fall, which requires more bus routes and more bus drivers. We're already having a problem recruiting as many as we need for what we have, and now we're going to open 2 more schools. What's your magic plan to solve that?
I mean,
and got a magic plan?
we're working, we're still in negotiations right now.
Okay.
We're working to be as competitive, if not the most competitive, in this area when it comes to bus salaries, bus driver salaries. I mean, in addition to that, we have been hiring the van drivers, and we're looking to purchase another 4 or 5 vans for a lot of those one-off students that we need to pick up that are either remote or have some special needs that we'd be able to take care of with the vans.
Good. Thank you very much. That's all I have. Thank you.
I got a question for you, Mr. Rinaldi, real quick. I was kind of surfing through the Florida Department of Education website, and there's actually a section for traffic, for transportation, and for the 23-24 school year, it listed how many buses, mechanics, and one of them showed that we had 16 mechanics, I thought.
Well, they may be showing mechanic allocations
Okay.
as opposed to actually filled positions.
Okay.
That's some of the things that we found out with the way the DOE kind of gathers their data. It comes from some of the financial reports, but those financial reports a lot of times do not identify filled positions, they identify allocated positions.
Yeah, the budget is built to the positions allocated.
So that's
Okay,
typically what they're
so it's
looking at.
all under the ALEC, because I saw where Mr. Is it Warrington? Yeah.
Warrington.
Warrington, I always say his name wrong for some reason, had submitted that, and I was looking at the mechanic side and the driver side, and I was like, wow, we have that many mechanics, I didn't realize that, but you're saying we're allocated for that, not,
That's
okay,
what we're working towards.
okay. All right, thank you. Clears that up
Thank you,
for
Mr.
me.
Rinaldi. Legal?
Just wanted to advise the board, I'll be out next week, but Patricia Petroff will be in, covering. If you need assistance, I'll have my phone, so you can email or text me. But I'll be back the following Monday, so I'll be at the next board meeting.
Great.
Wonderful.
Thanks. Mr. Penley, anything?
It's good to be back.
All right. Glad to have you.
Yeah.
All right, Superintendent.
Thank you, Chairman. Board members, I appreciate your approval of the consent agenda tonight. There were 25 items. Mr. Rinaldi talked about 2 of them. The other 2 that I'll highlight for you, you approved our submission of a computer science teacher certification grant that's available from the Florida DOE. It has been available before, but Manatee has not previously applied. We have some great plans for use of those funds to increase the number of teachers with computer science certification, which will allow us to teach more courses in that area, which is certainly an area of growing interest for our students. So we're excited to take advantage of that opportunity. Also tonight, you approved a total of 9 clinical experience agreements between businesses and organizations in our community and Manatee Technical College to benefit their medical programs and pharmacy tech. Those partnership agreements are vital for our students to get their required clinical experiences in for their programs, and so we appreciate, of course, all of the businesses and organizations that support Manatee Technical College. I want to just comment on 2 areas that have been of great interest to the community. We know that the last 2 weeks we faced some challenges relating to students making, frankly, bad choices about uttering threats to campuses, and we debriefed today with our principals on that experience, captured some good notes, heard from the principals who were directly impacted so that their colleagues could learn from all of that. And board, as you're aware, things kind of culminated last week in an updated message to parents, and we included 3 resources. The first being a video recorded message from me that was directed to our middle and high school students. It was played during first period on all campuses last Friday. That was not something I was ever expecting to do as superintendent, but it was necessary to have the same message across all campuses about what happens when a student makes a threat against other students or against a campus, both from the law enforcement side and the school discipline side. Secondly, Sheriff Wells did a great interview last Thursday night with ABC 7, and we sent that to all parents so that they could hear directly from our sheriff about some of the challenges and the impacts of those choices. And then finally, getting some feedback from parents as we encourage them to talk to their students. Our student services team put together a one-pager for parents with talking points and tips and resources. And so we push that out to all parents, and all of those resources are also on our website. I'd want to just take a moment to thank all of our law enforcement partners who worked a lot of extra hours running these things down and keeping our campuses safe, but also to all of our principals and their teams. And then finally, our executive directors who supervise the principals were working day and night, really over the last 2 weeks and weekends as well. And we have 4 very talented people who are responsible for coaching and supporting our principals, and they did amazing work last week. So just a shout out to them. Secondly, with regards to the weather, of course, we've made our plans and announcements, and board, I know that you know this, but just for the benefit of those who listen, our number one priority is always safety and then education of students, and that's what we prefer to do. But when our emergency management partners tell us that they need schools to serve as shelters, that becomes our focus. And so that they make those determinations and those announcements, and then our teams go to work. And so even tonight, we have principals and leadership teams prepping to open their schools as soon as that announcement is made, and then they will work 24/7 until this is done, serving community residents who need it. So my thanks in advance to all of our staff and employees who will work day and night in those shelters until the emergency is over. Finally, board members, we've seen each other a lot the last 2 weeks, doing lots of great stuff around the community. Within the last 2 weeks, I've been to Ballard Elementary with Vice Chair Spray, to Braden River High with Member Tatum. We were there on 9/11 and got to see how teachers were providing instruction on that event. The chairman and I visited Able Elementary, awesome visit there. Ms. Messenger and I had a chance to spend the morning yesterday at Williams Elementary, and then I also had recent visits to Stewart Elementary. Got to see instruction or the follow-up from instruction, the artifacts from instruction on Constitution Day, and lots of students learning about the Constitution. Also got to be on campus to see the start of the Potato Olympics in the Gifted Resource Room, and then Ms. Messenger and I saw some artifacts from that at Williams as well. So lots of great stuff happening on campuses. And then finally, a lot of community events that we've all been at together. Enjoyed seeing the Easter Seals Happiness House opening with the chairman. I'll let you talk about that event, sir. And then we had the Chamber Annual Conference on Friday and Saturday, and thank you to the Vice Chair and Mr. Tatum and Mrs. Messenger for joining me there. And then finally, we had a great Constitution Day essay contest winners event yesterday. Thank you to Bradenton Rotary and the Sons of the American Revolution for sponsoring that contest. We heard from 3 of our high school seniors about what the Constitution means to them. Very excited, as the chairman mentioned, that one of the 3, in fact, the overall contest winner, plans to major in elementary education. And so we've already offered our first contract for the 29-30 school year. We're excited about that. So board members, thank you for being with me out in the community, and we're looking forward to getting back to all of that good stuff as soon as we get through this storm. Thank you.
Thank you. Board comments. Messenger, Tatum, Foreman, Spray, myself. Miss Messenger.
I don't know if I have much to add other than the chamber retreat was a great event. We heard from a lot of leaders, but obviously our superintendent was the best. He did a great job. He did a great talk about the district. I really did appreciate a lot of the different talks that happened there. We heard about, a lot of different community needs, a lot about housing, which is to be expected. We hear a lot about housing, jobs, infrastructure, a lot of those really important topics that are about the community that I appreciated. And Sheriff Wells and Chief Bevan and Chief Tyler were also there and talked about what's going on in the community in that aspect as well. And I enjoyed going and seeing some of the potatoes for the Potato Olympics. I was very impressed. And the Constitution essay contest was wonderful too. I was really impressed by that as well. Student from Lakewood Ranch won overall, so that was wonderful. So I don't really have much more to add other than that, and just I hope everyone stays safe during the storm.
Thank you. Mr. Tatum.
I'll just give a safety tip with the storm upcoming. The last time around with Debbie, it rained a lot, and I had the bright idea because I got a pickup truck. I think I'll go check things out after the storm, right? And even with my F-150 pickup truck, there was a lot of water out there, and I actually kind of got stuck inside Lakewood Ranch. I couldn't get out. But I guess my recommendation is that, let's go see what happened. Let's look at the damage. Well, this might be interesting. Just stay at home. There's all kinds of first responders running around trying to take care of things. The water will go down, and then you can get back to normal. But venturing out to check things out during and right after these events is probably not the best way to go. And I did it myself, and it's just, even with a big truck, you're going to get yourself stuck, and then you'll just cause somebody else to have to come get you, where those first responders could be used somewhere else. So just stay at home or read a nice book or something, hang out with the family, go throw a ball with the kids in the backyard after the storm passes, and let the cleanup people and first responders do their job, and just stay home until you absolutely need to go out. So that's my thought for the day on safety, and that's all my comments for today.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Foreman.
Okay. Several things that I wanted to bring up. The first one, I noticed down in Sarasota that, Dr. Wysong and Terry Connor came on to their jobs right about the same time. And Sarasota has given an extension on the contract for their superintendent. And I would really like a discussion, and I'm bringing it up now because, I'd like to get it on the workshop, and that's up to you, Mr. Choate, to discuss extending his contract now. I think we've all been very, very happy. And he's halfway through his contract, a little year and a half of a 3-year contract. And especially with the board changing over, kind of want to pin him down, so make sure he doesn't go anywhere. So anyway, so I'm just throwing that out there, if you wouldn't mind, get that on so that we can have that discussion. Then on the discussion that we had, sorry, I did not keep it boring tonight, so, but I'm on my way out. I can say what I want now. But just everybody, don't forget to contact Dr. Rio in the next couple weeks and get her opinion. I think that's crucial. So anyway, just throw that. And in the past couple weeks, first of all, I didn't get to go to Stewart or Manatee High. I had broken my toe, and I have not been able to walk. So I didn't want to hobble along, so I missed those, and I was really, I was not happy that I didn't get to go, but that's life. And then, y'all, may have read that this is Banned Book Week, September 22nd, as long as I'm throwing stuff out. But what I want to say is that a couple things to bring to your attention. One was that Nassau County had a lawsuit against them for removing books without going through the process. And as a settlement, to settle the case, they agreed to put them all back. So, so it's not ruled by the court, but it's still noteworthy. And there was a lawsuit, and I don't even remember which one now, where books were removed from the library shelves without going through the process, and that may still be in litigation. I fear that, I'm not trying to circumvent, well, I would if I could, I'm not trying to circumvent the state's process, you know, where it goes through a committee and so on, but I want us to be absolutely certain that we are following the process, which I have concerns about. And also, when we talked about the policy 2520, we were going to revamp it in order to make it clearer as to what was instruction materials, what was classroom materials, and what was media-centered materials. So one of the sections in there talks about what the schools are entitled to remove books from their shelves. But I would hope that when the time comes when we do this, that we more strongly define why a book can be removed. Because so many districts are starting to look at, they're fearful. You know, that's what it's become. And fear on the side of caution, we're gonna take it off the shelf. And we need to let kids read. We need to let the parents decide, which this also, by the way, does not do. And so, you know, just a reminder, we still need to talk about that policy and have a revision on it. And I'll leave it at that. So, happy birthday. It's a landmark one, so I'm not saying which one, but yeah. So okay, I'm keeping it to myself. But yeah, congratulations and many more. Thank you.
I was going to skip right over it, but it's here. Ms. Bray?
Okay. I'm going to tell right off of the book thing. Over the weekend, I got a image of a book that is in our school that talks about how kids are stupid and how they can build a bomb and blow it up. So that's the book that I meant to discuss with Mr. Jensen. It's not a book on the shelf. It's a little comic book of nature that I think probably should be reviewed. So I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot to discuss that yesterday. I have a few things. First of all, I did enjoy the retreat. That was the first retreat that I had gone to. Made a lot of connections with community leaders that I didn't necessarily would cross paths with. I talked to a gentleman that owns a factory that's just not down from the EOC Center by the Bells, I think it is. So he was interesting to talk to. And of course, other people, I've seen their faces but didn't know exactly who they worked for. And the chamber does a great job of giving us a list of names and their companies. So it's nice to have that for future, if I need to reach out to any of them. And one thing that at the first night we went to a pretty nice restaurant for dinner, self-paid by the way, and one of the members that was in the last meeting at the Leadership Manatee group came to me and said, I just want to tell you that all of the questions about the budget and how the process worked, and my questions in particular, was of interest of her, and she took a lot away from that meeting. So it might be boring for others to sit here and listen to me jabber about what questions I have on any particular item, but you never know what impact it's having on somebody inside the boardroom or outside of the boardroom. So I wanted to bring that up, that they really appreciated that. And to the naming of, since that was we crossed that boring line, and that was mentioned at the retreat, that our board meetings are boring. We now went over that just one time. Yeah, we get that gimme, or whatever they call it in golf, I don't know.
Mulligan.
Thank you. I want to say to this, although people might have a bad taste in their mouth for developers or whatever, they produce jobs. I talk to people who work inside them that install cabinets, flooring, electrical, pour concrete, all of those things that work in our community. So it's not just the person that's putting the plan out there and have their name on it. It feathers down into a whole community, and it's just like, oh gosh dang, I forgot her name already, that presented earlier today. It takes a community. And with that, doesn't matter if you're the chamber, if you're building houses, if you're providing services, it's a community. And to that, that's what I want to say about that North River part of that. Resignations, we had 18 years of retirement for a purchasing supervisor here at the Wakeland Support Center, 21 year dropout prevention, which brings me to another topic I'm going to bring up. Mr. Seiss, Benjamin Seiss, 21 years, thank you so much for your service. Food service worker at Bayshore, 21 years, Cynthia King. Thank you again for your service to the district. When we were talking about dropout prevention, I wanted to bring it up to the board in a formal setting, because I've talked about this with the superintendent and with Ms. Gherkin and with Mr. Chapman about the mentorship program that Align Consulting does. I know it's a multifaceted, complex program, and yeah, the student costs went up, everything went up, but this is basically a Manatee pilot program that we've done over the past 2 years, and then all of a sudden we dropped it for some reason. We're already into almost October, and we still haven't seen it on the agenda. I know the governor and others, high-ranking people, are watching what we're doing with this program and the results that it's put out. So I want to either workshop it or get it on the agenda somehow, and how we can pay for it. I leave up to the district staff to figure that out, but I think we need to get that back into our schools. And then the boundary lines. Again, we're going to be doing that in 26, 27, and that's going to take a whole lot of work and a whole lot of looking at where those lines are going to be. And I think even with the new board coming on and the experience with Mr. Choate here, and then my start of my second half of this, I think we're going to be able to pull that off with Dr. Weissong's expertise as well. But other than that, I think, safety over secrets is always I coined that phrase for a reason, because it means something. Kids, please, and parents, please. I think the last week kind of proves that we take that serious. We're not going to let you joke or fun about it. When you say it, we're going to believe it, and we're going to act on it. And I want to thank the sheriff for putting out the video, and to Dr. Wysong. I watched them both, and that was my thing, was it needs to be a very strong, stern message from leadership in the district and with the sheriff. So I think you guys did a fantastic job with that, and I think it resonated. I know it would have me if I had a student. I'd be sitting there making them watch that. So other than that, thank you, Chair Choate, and happy birthday.
Thanks. I'll start with reiterating what Ms. Sprague just said about not only, I think, Dr. Wysong, your leadership with our staff, Mr. D'Amico, the safety staff. You know, obviously a lot of parents will call us and text us and write us and that sort of thing about the safety stuff. And there's one thing I know that we are doing really, really, really well, and probably better than, in my opinion, anyone else in the state, and maybe even country for that matter, is our safety of our campuses and our students. And the training that our guardians get, the SROs get, and then the evolve system and the strategics. I mean, everything is absolutely done top notch. I think we've taken every threat seriously. You know, to be quite honest with you, you know, obviously I am a parent, and I know more than most parents because I'm on the board. But parents don't need to know necessarily everything that's going on. Just let them know. Just you all need to know that we're doing everything possible. We take every threat absolutely seriously, and luckily nothing has happened. I think a lot of it, yeah, you're joking, and that was a conversation, you know, that I had with sheriff and other people. Is this isn't a joke anymore? And so your video, the sheriff's video, I think were great, and hopefully it does resonate, and kids realize that. That this is not a joking matter anymore, and you will be arrested, and maybe it gets to the point where if it continues to happen, if parents all of a sudden are arrested and parents all of a sudden had their names pop up, you may see that stuff stop real quick. But thank you to the staff also for the weather. Obviously, all the schools are going to be shelters. Thank you very much. You know, the leadership there. I know you guys will be schools off, but you all will still be working the next couple of days, watching the weather. Hope everybody stays safe with that. You never know what it brings. You know, you got to be prepared. Some of the school visits, Able Elementary was fantastic. If I'd encourage everybody, all the board members, to go to Able and meet with Samantha Webb, Miss Webb. I mean, a truly dynamic leader. The campus vibe. You know, I know that's like a new lingo thing, vibe check. The campus vibe is unbelievable. Kids love. I mean, it's just it was very, 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 very good. And I think what she's doing there with her staff is amazing. And I think the kids, you know, they did a opening morning deal and a breathing exercise and this and that. It was very, very unique. I've never seen anything like it. So she's doing a great job. I'd encourage anybody to reach out to her and say, hey, can I come and walk with you? Because I thought she was fantastic. Obviously, other events going to. Easter Seals was fantastic. That's a major place, and it holds a major place in my heart. My brother being Down syndrome went to Easter Seals. So seeing the Happiness House of the community come together and redo the Happiness House and give it kind of a refurb was nice. It was a great event, and Tom Waters does an amazing job over there. And then the essay winners, remarkable. Those three young ladies did a fantastic job with the Constitution contest. I don't know how they pick a winner, to be honest with you. I thought all three were just absolutely phenomenal. So I think two from Palmetto and one from Lakewood Ranch.
Mm-hmm. Two Lakewood Ranch.
Two Lakewood Ranch, one Palmetto. So great stuff happening, obviously, in our high schools, and so very encouraging. Other than that, again, hope everybody stays safe, and we will see you. Sorry, the Greater Consortium is postponed and canceled. So we will see board October
8th.
8th. Thank you. All right, and we are officially adjourned.